What is this foolishness?
How many dreams can you shape in a minute, an hour?
The kind of clean you like best.
Lost 3 of my teeth, too. All right, so you lost. Next time you'll win.
Steamy, hot, hearty, delicious, invigorating.
Action. Folks at home, how you doing tonight? Welcome to a brand new edition of Ike Live Show. We've got a really, really special show for you tonight. Let me start by introducing the room, and then I'll tell you a little bit about this super show we have. Sitting to my left, the beautiful, amazing, talented, and smart Miss Rebecca. How you doing, Beck?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to see you tonight. First of all, let's get this out of the way. Who are you wearing?
Anthropology.
Anthropology?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people watching probably have no idea what anthropology is.
I'm good with that.
You're good with that. You're okay. You want to describe it at all or no?
No, it's like fabulous adult hippie clothing.
Adult women's hippie clothing. Men's or just women's?
Women's.
Women's hippie clothing. Okay.
Well, they've home goods and
They do.
Clothing.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
Well, let me tell you, I'm so happy you're here. 2 shows in a row. I feel like I could open them blinds right now. It's going to snow out there. I'm so happy to have you back.
Pigs are flying.
Pigs are flying. Sitting to my right, the one and only. He looks a little stressed out. We're going to get into that in a second. Looks like I see a little sweat on his brow. I can even see it on the screen up here. We've got the one and only Dave Brodzik, a.k.a. Fathead. Dave, how you doing tonight? All right, man. I forgot the word. Wait,
you
I
have
don't
to
hear
turn
you.
him on.
Yeah, let's turn Dave on so we can actually hear him.
Oh, how about now?
Am I mute? No,
There you
good
go.
now. Yeah.
There you go.
2 minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 minutes in.
I didn't even have my first drink yet.
Dave, we're late again as usual.
Yeah.
We got on about 10 after 7. That's a normal thing for Ike Live Show. But normally we're late because of me. Like I'm always, I'd say 95% the reason. I come up like 1 of 7 or 1 after. It's always because of me, right? But tonight we're a little late because of you. But you want real quick before we intro the rest of the room. What happened?
Truck broke down on
What
me
had happened
a couple
was
miles away.
You had a breakdown
Electrical meltdown, yeah.
on the way to the Ike Live studio. You
Yeah,
had a little truck malfunction.
Riz had to come rescue me.
Wow. Okay, and what was that all about? Do you know the cause of that?
Yeah, I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing yesterday. I have a 16-year-old truck, and I'm out in the Pine Barrens swamping it. I hit a puddle deep, maybe about 4.5 feet, came up over the hood, and
Wow.
probably fried the alternator.
All right, that's awesome.
Wait, but so the car was fine yesterday. You got home fine.
It stalled yesterday after I got out of the puddle. Right?
Yesterday.
So I let it dry off a little bit, trying to figure out how I was going to escape because the puddles just looked like they were getting worse and worse. Like I went to a place that I'd never been to before.
Yeah,
on the
you're
east side-
researching.
on
doing
the
a little
east side of 206, like way between the shore and 206.
East
and where
side?
It's nothing but green and
Yeah.
skinny trails, like Jeep trails. Should never had my stuff
Yeah.
back there, and just trying to figure out a way to get out, really. And yeah,
Wow.
and I knew I had some kind of a small issue yesterday,
Yeah.
but when you fry the alternator, I had a brand new battery, so I was able to drive around a little bit because it's feeding on the battery.
Right.
When the battery's finally dead.
Right.
So I got to figure out what I'm going to do.
Fried it out a little. It's all right.
Wait. So what happened tonight?
The alternator's finally gone and the battery finally
So all of a sudden
got
it just kind of
eaten
went.
up. Yeah. I knew it was going to happen. I just was hoping I could make it here and have it happen.
It's better on the way here than home.
Yeah, because then you're saying it's better on the way there, so I don't have my truck sitting on your place.
No, I don't mind they'll be here. I'm just saying, like, by the time we finish here in a couple hours, like, dark
be-
and...
Riz will be driving me home. And I'll
Yo,
have to
your
come
truck
back
would be
tomorrow.
like the pod that's been here for like 3 months.
What is-
longer than
what
that.
is it with
How
that
long's that
pod?
pod been
That
here?
effing pod.
We have a pod here. It's got to go.
Thought we'd do this nice storage thing as we had some, construction and put some storage together, and then everyone just enjoyed the storage space.
Yeah, they kept it so long. All right, let me intro the rest of the room.
Oh, hey, how about it?
We've got over here on the 1 and 2s, we've got handling IMs tonight, the one and only Riz, a.k.a. Rizzo, a.k.a. Rich. Rich, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Not sure if my mic is on.
Your mic is on.
You're
I
on.
can hear you.
You're
hot.
Okay.
Oh, I
All
hear you, Rich.
Doing great, Mike. Glad to be back in studio again for another brand new Ike Live show. Just became Rescue Riz for a few minutes.
Wow.
we actually pushed the truck from one side of the road to the other. So we got our cardio in. We got a little bit of pump going.
Yeah.
So we're ready to go.
Pumping iron.
So, Riz, would you say that there's cardio every time you have to come to the Ike and Ellie's?
Pretty much, yeah.
Something happens.
So earlier this week, actually, Miss Rebecca and I went on a kayak rescue mission because there was multiple kayaks floating down the lake.
Flooding issues here in South Jersey.
So what happened was the day before, you know how we had that like the massive rainstorm? Well, come to find out, those amazing landscapers I got not only didn't pitch the landscape or the pavers correctly, so the pool was overflowing, which, I know how to get the water out of it, but then the pavers were filling with water flowing into it. So I spent my day just trying to save the pool so we didn't have major damage. I never thought to think about the lake and the fact that the kayaks might be floating
Goners.
away.
Right.
So Riz shows up the next day. He's like, there's a kayak out in the lake. That's yours. So I'm like, all right, let's go. I actually got dressed.
And that volunteered me noticing that the kayak was in the middle of the lake.
It's a good salvage.
I volunteered myself to
Yeah.
get it. So normally when I show up to here, the office, I'm either wearing like dirty, ripped up Carhartt pants or like hook fishing shorts, whatever. This is the one day I wear like the nicest pair of pants that I own.
A suit. You had a suit on with a cummerbund.
I wore polo Ralph Lauren pants.
Your Sunday best.
Yeah. And that's the day that I end up in a swampy Hobie.
But honestly, I've lived in workout clothes. Have I not lived in workout clothes for the last 6 months? And I actually got dressed that day, too. Wow. So we're out there paddling.
It was like we were going to a party like at the Great Gatsby's.
Wow.
We were. And I look at Riz at one point, and I'm like, I'm wearing Gucci today.
Oh, my God.
We're going to save a kayak.
I have a question, Riz. Where do you buy distressed Carhartt clothes at?
Oh.
Are you saying that I didn't earn these?
No, I don't know. I didn't know they sold distressed Carhartt.
Dave,
Acid washed.
These are my fishing pants.
I'm teasing.
These are acid
So
washed.
they're actually
Acid wash come back in style. Pushing the buttons tonight, of course, the one and only Brian the Carpenter producing the show. Brian, how you doing?
Good, man. We're here. We're doing it.
We're doing it. And last but not least, joining us via Zoom, we've got the Dean and official host of the show, Pete Glusick, with us tonight. Pete?
Still milking it.
How you doing?
I'm milking away over here.
Milking away. We like it. Hey, you comfort in your own home. It's good. We can hear you. We can see you. That's all that matters, Pete.
Hey, it's great. It's great to be here tonight, and man, what an exciting guest we have.
Dude,
tonight.
this is going to be a good one. And
show.
if you're watching right now, if you're just tuning in to this brand new Ike Live show, this is a special one. We've got, I would call him tour veteran. I would call him pro angler. I would call him a guy that has changed the sport, honestly. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We've got Randy Blockett joining us. This is going to be such a good show. Can't tell you. This show is brought to you by so many companies that make it happen. I want to run down them real quick. Of course, our presenting sponsor, Mystery Tackle Box. It's fishing simplified. Not only is it simplified, but it's like Christmas to your doorstep once a month, Beck. It's unbelievable. There it goes, the old black box. We're going to be doing an unboxing a little bit later. Also brought to you by one of our brand new sponsors, and you're going to see in the second segment, Dave, you're going to see a little drink change, Tin Cup Whiskey. Enjoyed that last week. We're going to be enjoying it again tonight. Founders Beer. Right now, we're starting with the beer of the night. Oh, Dave's already drinking.
No one poured me one. You guys know
I thought you were already having a tin cup.
No, I won't let you have one till the second segment.
We got to pace Dave out. Some bad things happen
I
on the
ate before
show.
I came.
Also brought to you by Founders Beer. You see a couple tonight floating around the room. Of course, Solid Gold, All Day IPA. We love Founders. Founders is so good. Brought to you by TH Marine, the makers of everything in the marine industry, from canoes to Biggie Smalls yachts. Dr. Squatch. Man, what a better time than now to keep your hands clean. But we got a brand new product we're going to be talking about tonight. I want to tease it a little bit. Dr. Squatch is now making
Hand sanitizer.
toothpaste.
Oh, wow.
Pete, toothpaste. And I'm not, toothpaste to me was always toothpaste. I want to tease it a little bit. This is a game changer. I'm going to talk about it a little later in the show.
Yeah, when you
Game-changing
Google
toothpaste?
when you type
Yeah.
Dr. Squatch
Toothpaste.
into Google to go to their site, if you don't
Yeah.
know it, you know how like the thing will pop up like Mike Iaconelli's net worth, Mike Iaconelli's wife. The very first thing for Dr. Squatch is Dr. Squatch male model. Like whoever that dude is with the nice furry chest.
With the furry chest,
yeah, like that dude.
Wow, that dude's famous.
Yeah.
He's got a hairier chest than Pete. That guy. Yeah. It's crazy. Brought to you by Liquid Mayhem. Scent is important. Try Liquid Mayhem. Also, Flambeau. We're going to be checking out 2 of the new boxes tonight. They're awesome, game-changing boxes. Brought to you by Hobie, the Cadillac of kayaks. And we're going to be talking a little bit about our kayak event here in the first segment. Also brought to you by Torqeedo. Listen, if you're looking for an electric trolling motor that blows everything out of the water, Brian Carpenter, back me up on this one.
It blows them out of the water.
Blows them out of the water. Check out Torqeedo. Go to torqeedo.com. It's awesome. Also, last but not least, Tackle Warehouse. Great sponsor of Ike Live Show from day one. Also, and Riz, I'm going to ask you a little bit about this. We've got a very, very interesting update happening, and we have another great sponsor of the show. This is the Fisherman's Fishing Planet. You remember us talking about this a lot on past shows. A great fishing video game. They have a expansion to this game, Riz.
That's right. They do the expansion pack Blue Crab Island. Right?
Blue Crab Island.
So what Blue Crab Island did is it opened up more lures, new kinds of bass boats, new techniques that you can fish for this video game. And if you have not tried it out yet, it's something you absolutely got to do if you're a fisherman. Like, you know, I think about fishing all the time. Eat, breathe, sleep. And this is just another way to get involved and stay active in the sport through PS4. It's a great one. Dave, you're a gamer, man. You should definitely check this one out. But the Blue Crab expansion, it opened the maps up to a whole new level. You know, it was already really cool to be able to play this game, but now you can take it to the next level.
If you put like a Cholo shirt on the guy on the front here, it doesn't look like Centaur if you had a Cholo shirt on?
It looks like Centaur. I also said Ed Bassmaster. Dude, it looks like Ed. Absolutely, 100%. Looks like Ed Bassmaster. He might have modeled for that. Let me remind you tonight, if you're watching with us over on social media, if you're watching on Facebook, like and share the feed. Listen to me. I say it every week. All you have to do, take a second, like and share the feed. You're going to be entered into a contest to win the amazing, world-famous 20-plus pound. Feel that, Beck. What is it, 20, 22 in that range? Ike Live gift bag loaded with sponsor products. It's
it legitimately costs us $50 to send it to you.
It costs us 50
Does it really?
It's crazy.
It is
yeah, those
insane.
prices all went up.
It's crazy.
Oh, my God.
$50?
$50 to send that thing.
It's cray.
Yeah, it's cray.
Can someone around the corner win? We'll drop it off.
I know. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. We could drive it to him. Let me remind you again, Randy Blockett coming up here in a little bit. Can't wait to talk to Randy on the show for the first time. Yes, but Riz, what do you got? You got something?
Yeah, I got to get this in there. The Funky Fisherman wants you to know, Mike, he got crabs on an island once, but he couldn't tell if they were blue.
That's funny, Funky Fisherman. I had crabs in college once, and they were blue. They were actually on my blue balls.
That's right, yeah.
So the crabs were blue.
That's right.
I don't think that's possible.
What does it matter? What do you mean?
You can't get crabs on blue balls.
Sure you can. Well, you can get them from a toilet seat.
And I'm not allowed to have a sip of whiskey.
You can get If somebody's watching right now that's in the medical field, can you or can't you get crabs from a toilet seat? I'm saying you can. Brian Carpenter, you had crabs before. Did you get them from a toilet seat?
Don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I had crabs either, but
That's
whatever.
Pete, I know you had crabs before. Can you get them from a toilet seat?
in the beard.
I've heard that you could, but I don't know. I never did.
Okay. Everybody, see how everybody started to clam up.
I think that was made up by someone cheating on their wife. Like, I was in
toilet
this
seat
rest stop where bums are. And,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Meanwhile, he's
Yeah.
out there with, who was.
Right.
You know?
Could be. Could be. Let me also remind you, if you're watching tonight, we want to hear from you. We really do. IMs are open. If you're watching us on IkeLive.com, please send us your comments, questions, whatever you got. It's good stuff. Pete, real quick, give us an update on Bass University. What do we got going on over at BU? I know we got some Kevin Van Dam material being released. What do we got?
Yeah, KVD continues. We're releasing the best from him. He does this really cool tube snapping thing, as well as Mike. You got to see this. It's it's kind of like the hair jig thing where what do we call that when you're fishing the ledges?
Black hair.
Stroking?
Like stroking the hair jig, like where you're reeling it up,
Yeah.
and then releasing it. He does that with a mini swim bait with a heavy 3/4 ounce head, doing it in 30 to 40 feet of water.
Wow. Cool technique.
Yeah, it's really, really cool how he's able to cover water and do that kind of stuff with it. So check it out, guys. Bass University, for 30 days free. Go over to bassu.tv. Just check it out. We think, we built this whole thing to help guys become better anglers. Yeah. And that's what's going on right now. So go check it out.
Tuesday night we'll be live, Bass University Live, and we've got Edwin Evers coming on.
Wow, great guest.
Yeah.
That'll be a good show.
Is he going to talk about his pecans?
I think so, yeah. He just moved into his house. They got tornadoed last year.
Oh, they get it all fixed?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. He got back.
He'll be up at the MLF Cup event or something.
Cool.
Wisconsin, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't either.
Let's get the show started. Dave, like always, we want to thank our military, men and women, veterans and active military. Thank you guys for what you do. It's a crazy world. Also want to thank policemen, firemen, EMT. Thank you guys for what you do. Doctors, nurses, crazy time in the world right now. Thank you. Thank you very much. Speaking of the military shout out, the police shout out, firemen shout out, Dave, we had a special day pass us 2 days ago.
Yeah.
2 days ago. The 9/11, September 11th. And, of course, you look through the social media feed, everybody posts something about it, right? It's a day to remember. You're doing some driving up that way. You sent us a picture, and it was amazing what you said in the text. This is so true. You're driving where? You're on the Turnpike?
Yeah, today, northbound Turnpike going up to a rail yard right across from New York City in Bergen County.
Yep, so you're in North Jersey. You can see, for guys that don't live up here in the Northeast, the great thing about being in North Jersey is you look at New York City, you see that skyline. It's awesome to see the biggest city in the world right there. Yeah. And the towers are gone. It's a weird, eerie thing because we all remember, we were alive at a time when we remember seeing it. It's part of everyday life. You see the towers.
I don't even look at that skyline without thinking of that first every time. Right. Night when I don't go there every night, but I'm going up that way a couple days a week, and just looking there, man, it still boils you. It still boils you so bad. And I think about the other people that were driving up the Turnpike. Someone saw that happen live.
Oh, yeah.
While driving, like, man, that plane is low. Like, what the? Whoa! Like, someone saw that, A
lot of people saw it. A lot of people saw it.
I mean, I've never heard anyone interviewed that was driving the Turnpike that saw it, but you can't help but look at the skyline coming up.
Yeah.
You're looking at it, you're looking straight, you're looking at it, you're looking straight, because it's amazing.
Yeah. It was such a world-turning event, know. And Becky said something the other day. You said, I can't remember we were talking about it, but everyone, if you stop and close your eyes for a second, you can remember exactly where you were when it happened, right? I know you can, Beck, Pete. I'm sure you can. Riz, absolutely. I mean, everybody, you can remember the exact moment when all that was going down.
My mom can explain two of those in her life. She can explain where she was on September 11th. She can tell you the outfit she was wearing, the apron she was wearing, and the exact dish she was watching when it came over the radio when JFK was killed.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, because they're big things.
Yeah. I lived in D.C. at the time, and I had a friend who was on the highway and watched the plane fly into the Pentagon.
Wow.
Because it happened in the morning.
Wow.
And everyone's sitting there in bumper-to-bumper traffic, and she was like, I literally watched this plane come just far too low over us. Now, you do have an airport right there, so you're not totally surprised by low-flying, airplanes, but it wasn't going the right direction.
Right.
And she watched it come up and over and in.
So every September 11th, I don't know how many other people do this, I watch I as much as I can watch, I watch it all. Like whether it's the live what was then live footage, the phone call, watch it all. I watched 3 things that I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
One,
like documentaries and stuff.
CNN Films did an amazing one called 9/11 15 Years Later. And it gives me the goosebumps because they talk about the 2 pilots that went up with no munitions on the plane. And the first guy went out there from North Carolina, ran out of gas, had to turn around, and a female pilot went up, and she talked about how she was going to ram the tail. Like that, that plane wasn't going to make it to D.C. They knew where it was going.
Right.
And I never knew that. I never knew that those planes weren't armed. And she explained the process of how long it takes. Them bombs just don't come out of a locker. Like they got to assemble shit. And,
Yeah.
Wow.
That, then the Falling Man. There's a story documentary about the guy that you see jump, the one guy with the white, Falling Man. And then It was that one. There was one more, whatever. But about the Pentagon. When they hit the Pentagon, it hit the only section that was redone. They were in the process of retrofitting it.
Yep.
And it was the only section that they put certain types of protections in. Because it was built, I think in the 50s.
Right.
And it wasn't really fortified. It
Right.
was like wood and brick, what I mean? Like it wasn't like concrete.
Right.
And it hit the ones why it didn't go all the way through it. If it hit a different section, it would have cut the thing in half.
That's why there also weren't as many people in there because they hadn't put everyone back in the offices yet.
Yeah. It's
no,
crazy.
I watched those stories, man.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, it was a life changer. It was a world changer, And I remember, I'll tell you a quick story. I think I've mentioned this before. I remember exactly where I was at. Pete, I don't remember if we were there together that year or not, but I was at the FLW Championship.
Champlain.
On Champlain, practicing. I remember, where I was that day. I was practicing up in Missisquoi through the passage. It was the last day of practice. The last day of official practice. I came back through the passage, and I wanted to learn a little bit about that New York side through the passage heading down toward Mallett's Bay. And, the interesting thing is, and if you tournament fish, you know this. When you're out on the water, a lot of times you lose track of time of everything, right? The days fly by, the hours, you don't watch your phone, you don't look at stuff. But I remember as it, and when I think back, it was as all this was happening, there was this weird, eerie quietness that fell over Lake Champlain. I remember this during the practice day, and I couldn't put my finger on what it was, But I didn't find out till I got back. I got back to Marine Village Cabins, put the boat on the trailer, got back, and at the time my mom and uncle were there with me, and I remember they were like frantic, oh my God, and frantic, and I was like, what, and then, to see the newsreel playing it over, and the reality.
You missed it all, man.
I missed it as it was happening, but I was on the water, so I can remember that like it was yesterday. I think we all have a story like that,
And for I know we're going to move on soon, but guys, if you can get to the 9/11 memorial, you have to get there.
Yeah,
I talked about it like 3 years ago, like a 2 day. I'd come, we had talked about it. I was only a couple days removed from having been there. And I was listening to a podcast today where a veteran, Tim Kennedy, was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he talked about being there. And I had said when you touch the metal and the girders, like it's venerated, right? Like that people were pulverized, but he said it best. He said you can feel the souls, and I didn't, And when he said it, I'm like, God damn, that's exactly it.
Right.
I didn't describe it right.
Yeah.
Like you guys, if you have a chance, you got to get to it.
It's an amazing place, and Becky and I got to go there when. We filmed Fish My City, and we were there with Nat Geo Wild filming in New York, and we had a day off. That was a 9-day shoot with a day off between in the middle of the 9 days. And we went over to the memorial, and it was so emotional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Becky and I didn't know anyone personally who passed away, but you get there, and you just well up instantly. You're like
the glass suspended in black.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the
It
words
hits you,
coming across from the calls. That was just like, who thought of that? Like,
it hits you.
Genius, and it was just
it hits you.
It's staggering. Yeah, you can't move.
I haven't been to the 9/11 memorial, but in regards to what you're saying about being able to feel the sadness in the air, that was what it felt like a couple years ago. We went to Gettysburg. Be 2 years this Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and
that was you could just feel that presence of sadness that went down in that area. But so I kind of get that feeling that you guys got from that. It's interesting.
I've told you guys years ago. I have a friend, former cop. He's a truck driver now. He's a spirit guide, and he goes to Gettysburg all the time. We're invited to go.
Gettysburg's awesome, dude.
That'd be cool.
He's a spirit guide, man. Like, he knows the hot spots. He knows the bridges. There's this one bridge where apparently like a lot of executions happened at. And it's a hot spot for him there. And
right.
His name's Andrew, and he's a rad
Whoa.
dude, man. Yeah.
Wow.
He smoked a lot of weed or no?
No, dude. He's a veteran. He's got real bad cancer. He's fighting that all the time.
Jesus.
Like he's going through chemo. He's a rad dude. But
damn. That'd be a hell of a trip.
I told you, man. Like I told you years ago, we needed to do that, man.
Wow,
I see the guy.
I want to do that shit.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
You know what? There's things that happen in your life though, where I would say like you go through your whole life and you go into your 20s and you're invincible. You know what I mean? Because like most of us didn't live during the time of like a war or anyone like was being sent off to Vietnam. Like we didn't have any of those things. So
well,
for
Pete
us,
did, but everybody else
maybe
did.
Pete. But like you don't have those things. Something has to happen during your lifetime somewhere as you're getting older that causes you to stop and say, I'm not invincible.
Yeah.
I can't take everything for granted. Tomorrow is not given. And I think 9/11 for most of us was that moment
right.
that probably stopped you like dead in your life and said, holy shit. Like I'm not gifted tomorrow.
Yeah. The interesting thing though, and I don't who said this. Somebody said this to me the other day. As tragic as that was, right? It did bring the country together.
Oh my God!
Think
it brought us
think of
together.
the next few years.
Oh yeah,
dude. We had this pride.
Oh,
we
yeah.
wanted to just we wanted to unite, and there was
Yeah.
this unity.
Oh,
dude,
big time.
think of the culture going around right now.
Yeah.
Like watch CNN for a minute.
And
And dude,
out.
you cannot look on social media. You can not watch the news without.
it's an indication the times are too darn good.
Yeah, you feel
People
dirty.
don't know how.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. So this is gonna sound ridiculous, but I was watching my wife's cat today. I say my wife's cat because it's my wife's cat. So whatever. So I'm watching this thing, and
Literally four-legged.
yeah, and it's every day it walks around the house. It's the same house, and every day it's always on edge. You know, like there's a blanket there, and it walks up to it, and it's like, because it's geared towards looking for problems, right? It can't just accept the fact that that thing has got it made. It does nothing but
there's
lay
no
down.
mice.
It does
No
nothing
mice for you to murder.
But that's like it's like the nature of it. And I was watching that thing, like, man, dude, chill.
Yeah.
There's, you've been here for how many years? There's not been a problem yet. You know? So I feel like that's like kind of human nature. Like when things are too good, you kind of start looking for problems. You default to that.
Or we create problems.
We're creating a lot of problems right now because there ain't none.
Right.
I mean, nothing that can't be dealt with.
I think if you look
Becky, what you said, resonates with me because Mike, like you, I was up on Thousand Islands. I was in the middle of a practice session.
Yeah.
And it got eerie on the lake. Everybody should have been out. Everybody should have been practicing. And
got quiet.
And it got quiet. I was the only one there. Like I'd be in, why isn't, I'm not seeing another boat. And I had my phone buried. And when I got back in, I listened to my voicemails. It was dark. I was putting the boat on the trailer. Nobody was there but me. And, every message was the same. It was, oh my God, call me as soon as you can. Like, I can't believe this happened. Call me. And nobody's telling me what happened.
Yeah.
On the messages, so I'm in the dark and I'm turning on the radio. Like what's happened? And they're all doing the same thing. Like nobody's explaining what had transpired because by now everybody knows but me.
Yeah.
And, of course, eventually I found out and, you're so preoccupied with, I'm trying to win this tournament.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it to the championship. I have the next 20 days scheduled out by the second of what I have to accomplish, what I'm going to be doing. And everything just stopped.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even get home.
Yeah.
Like
I remember that. I remember travel was interrupted. I remember cell phones not working for a couple days.
Yeah, I'm amazed you got voicemails because our phones around the DC area went out within like an hour.
Wow.
They were out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we had to, you just reevaluated what was important.
Yeah.
Just rethinking everything that you're doing. It definitely stopped me in my tracks. I think, obviously stopped the whole world in their tracks.
Yeah.
It was a tremendous event.
Yeah,
Very traumatic for everybody, obviously.
Yeah. Well, we're thinking about anybody watching tonight that was directly affected by 9/11. We're thinking about you tonight. Memorial of it a few days ago. On a different note, we're going to switch it up. We had a couple of us fish tournaments, Pete, over the last week or two. I don't want to go super into detail, but I did want to say, Pete, what a great event you had on a very, very challenging fishery. Of course, finished 11th out of 75 guys on the title Potomac. Great finish, Pete. Awesome finish. I fished there as well. Brutal. As tough as I've ever seen that river fish. I consider myself a tidal river guy. I've never felt more clueless about what was going on.
You've won down there. You've won.
I've won on the Potomac. I've had good finishes there. I've really felt clueless. But you had a great performance, Pete. You want to mention anything about the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I was punching. I haven't punched for a week in a long time, so my body is still hurting. I've got all kinds of weird muscles that are aching from dropping those 1 ounce, 1.5 ounce VMC, baits all. But that was the key for me. That was it, man. It was like I identified that the mats were polluted with crawfish like I have never seen in my life.
Yeah.
They were just everywhere. And when I would get a bite punching, it was an over. Like I call it anything over 2 pounds over.
Yeah, here's the interesting thing. Here's the interesting thing, Pete. And I don't want to get too far into it. And I know you guys will talk about it on Bash U Live on Tuesday. It's a better place for all this. But the Potomac River was loaded with grass. There would be stretches where the grass came off the bank, Dave, 2 football fields off the bank. It ran for a mile long.
Jeez.
And when you get in the grass, it would all be hydrilla or would all be river grass, or some places it would mix. And it was just matted with no definitive edge, no holes. And I in practice, I flipped it and punched it, never had a bite. Tried the outside edge, tried inside, tried, the thickest stuff, the thinner stuff. And I just never even got a bite. And I pulled my hair out, and I kind of wrote it off. Here, Pete has a top, almost a top 10. And half of the top 10, including the winner, is fishing these grass mats.
Wow.
The winner in particular fishing Greenway Flats, which I spent a lot of practice time on. But these guys were saying, I found a key 20-yard stretch.
Yeah.
Well, how the fuck did you do that? Because, the guy that won in the write-up, okay, and I don't want to bust his balls. Congrats, dude. Again, I'm waving the white flag here. But the guy that won in his article said, I've been down here for the last 6 months and I practiced hard for the last month, and shout out to my buddy who put me on this spot. All right. Maybe that's how you found the magic 20.
You guys are just jealous. You can't be that honest.
I'm jealous. But Pete found it with very limited practice as well. You found a couple. How in the hell did you find these 20-yard stretches that are key? I don't get it.
Well, for me, it was kind of one of the spots was
your history. Buddy took you to. Yeah, I get that. What else?
It was history. It was like there's this one stretch that I have caught him on. You remember you and I got on that outside eelgrass bite with flat sides and 100 years ago.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I remembered that this little stretch is one of the areas that we caught him on that time, and I went in and punched it because, and right away, my very first punch was the biggest fish I caught all week. It was like a 4+.
Wow.
And I got another bite down that stretch. That stretch, that's all I did at practice, but that stretch put 8 of the fish that I weighed in,
oh my God.
In for me. And I found 2 other stretches that were very small too. I'm talking about a mile of grass, and they were real short stretches. But unfortunately, the wind took them away from me a lot of the time, because when wind blows on a mat, it just makes that go away.
So what made those stretches different, though? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Like, how could you identify if you were
watch Bass U?
Yeah.
Sounds like a conversation.
The cleaner edges, and here's the thing that I think made that special was it was floating dead hydrilla that collects there.
Okay.
Right. So the mats it wasn't just growing hydrilla matting up. It was props cutting up the stuff and stacking it on an edge.
Gotcha.
And that made that, made that special.
Gotcha. Well,
but you going in, man, it's like, I was thinking about, and because we got Randy coming on, I was thinking old school, like I was trying to put my mindset in the mind of Ish and Brower. Like they knew they were only going to get 5 bites. I knew I was only getting 5 bites in 8 hours.
Yeah.
It is so hard to be persistent when you go 3 hours and nothing's happening. You're ready to bail. You're ready to do something else.
Would have bailed.
Yeah, right. I bailed, and I'm mad that I bailed, Becky. I bailed for an hour because I had been 4 hours without a bite. and I bailed, and I went scratching looking for a fish somewhere. I fished the marina at Mattawam. I did everything I could think of to try to get a fish. I go back to punching, catch 2 3-pounders right before the end of the tournament, doing it.
Wow.
And if I don't bail in that hour, I might catch that 5th fish, and make it in and contend to win.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Maybe
Because the
not.
tide might
Yeah,
not have been right. You can't really.
You can't say that. You had a great tournament.
Yeah, probably not.
You had a great tournament.
You're good.
You had a good event. I don't think you can second guess yourself.
Higher chance of your co-angler giving you COVID.
Yeah.
Well,
You're probably right. You're probably right.
Well, I did figure out that you can catch an STD from a toilet seat.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
the
you
thing.
can.
You look this up.
Yeah, the key and the only way to get it is to be having sex with somebody that has an STD while they're on the toilet.
Right.
Oh, on the toilet.
Well played, Pete.
The double.
More Tuesday night on Best You Live.
And if you flush the toilet, you can get COVID. Because what they say about public restrooms are
Yeah.
actually because all the germs.
The upflush?
Yeah.
Oh, my
like
God.
it makes you more likely.
I don't wanna
So
hear
you're
anything
better in
more
a porta
about
potty.
this.
But kids
I don't
listening, that's how very smart people tell sexual jokes, the way Pete just delivered that with a straight face.
I hope there's no kids
The
watching our show.
moral, hey, the moral of the story on both the crabs and the COVID is just crap outside. Poop and pee outside. Just find a nice little grassy spot and just poop right
Live
there.
in the woods.
And wear a surgical mask as a loincloth.
And
That's
don't
right.
let, and
You'll
don't
be
let
all
your
right.
children
That's
watch
right.
this show.
And don't let your children watch the show. Also want to catch up with Rizzo and Brian Carpenter. You guys fished a big event. It's a yearly thing by Five Alive Bassmasters on Carnegie Lake, one of our old stomping grounds.
Yep.
And 2 good finishes from you guys. You
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit about it? Brian Carpenter ended up second. Riz should have ended up second. I think ended up last. But no, it wasn't last. Maybe, what'd you end up?
I ended up with 5 fish for 0.05 pounds after
Wow.
my penalty.
After a penalty. Okay, so you were 8 minutes late.
0.95.
I guess I'm going first.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Riz, what happened? You had a good
How mad he
All
is.
right, you had a
yeah.
good tournament.
Yeah.
You should have come in second, but you had a tell us about that.
All right,
because this
so-
happens all the time. What happened?
I fished Carnegie
To
Lake.
Riz.
To Riz, right?
I fish Carnegie Lake once a year, every year. I fish it once a year for the Five Alive Labor Day tournament. It's the only time I ever drive up there. I go up there and I do my thing. I go flipping. Did the same thing this year. It was a really tough bite this year. Normally it takes like 14 to 15 pounds to win up there, and I only had I had just shy of 9 pounds. So I was like, I don't got even a shot to even contend in this thing. So late in the day, I was scrapping, grinding, trying to get a big bite, and I went further back on that lake than I had ever been before. And I don't know how familiar you guys are, but Carnegie Lake's like really long. And I was back by the train bridge at 1:10, and we were due in to check in at 2. And I started to head back, and I was against the wind. Trolling motor batteries died, or you got really low, and I ended up being 8 minutes late to weigh in, which nullified pretty much my whole catch. I had 8.95. I would have came in second place. I realized I would have came in second place, and then I broke almost everything in my boat, and that's how the day went.
I can relate.
He's
to
about
that.
to break the countertop.
I know,
right?
What
So
are you
you're
doing? You're like Rain Man calculating math
look
over
at
there
that.
with your hand. What are you
Look
doing?
at There's a wear spot in the limestone.
Like
over
he's
there.
counting blackjack cards there.
Jeez.
What I learned was Rich has had a really breakout season. He's been winning a lot. He's got a lot of big wins. He's been winning like Ike. He's also learned how to lose like Ike.
I like it.
You should have seen that.
Passion,
Oh, yeah.
Don't do
emotion
that.
is good. No,
Yeah.
it's good. Dude, listen to me. Pete,
Mike was on the side of the soccer field today yelling, "Anger is a gift."
anger is good. I'll be honest to the kids, the 8 and 10-year-olds. I believe that. Like people handle it different, but emotion's good. I'm not advocating everybody goes and breaks all the shit, but dude, right? That burn is good.
It is.
You want to do better. You want to not do that again.
It is.
You want to win next time.
And
you know?
here's another funny side note on this whole emotion thing. And
Yeah.
so one of my college baseball coaches always used to tell me, never let your emotions get too high, never let your emotions get too low. Yesterday, I fished another tournament on Stella's, and
Shout out to
it was
Stella's.
super grind day. I figured something out late in the day, flipped into a bush, caught a fish that was bigger than most fish on that lake, got fired up, screamed. Johnny Valdez fishing the tournament, heard me yell, saw where I was, saw what I was doing, immediately went around the point, started doing the same thing, caught his 4th and 5th, and then beat me in the tournament. So
always be quiet.
Damn right.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, he blue shoed you.
Oh man.
Yeah. Man.
Wow. The
Never-
one
never don't
downside,
give up.
yeah, never don't give up. The one downside of being loud.
Yeah.
But in that same tournament, Brian,
Yeah.
you did
So-
come in second.
so
you had a good event.
I've fished Carnegie, I think, twice in my life, right?
Yeah.
And it's been probably 20 or so years since I've been there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went up there the day before, Sunday, right? And the
Kiss
tournament
of death.
was Monday. Right. That's when Mike was busting my balls. But I'm like, I got nothing to do. I'm open. I can go. I'm like, I got to. And I know you don't freaking hook the fish the day before a tournament, but I don't know a damn thing about where to go, where to look, what to throw, what the water, looks like.
Yeah.
So, I called some people, said, hey, what's going on up there? I had 3 spots to look at. Mike said, check the aquifer. Somebody said, a lot goes on in between the 2 bridges. I'm like, all right, I remember that from 20 years ago. And then homeboy here, Rich, says, oh, dude, everybody runs around. I just go straight across from the ramp and fish right there while everybody runs like crazy. I thought, so I went out and practiced. I ran around the lake, only set the hook one time, but I found an area that I got a couple bites in, felt them smack it. And I said, all right, felt like good ones. So I'm like, that's all I had. I had 2 bites in an area and some pads. It's like, all right, I'm going to fish that. That's all we got. That's what we're doing. So I figured I was going to be sharing it with Rich because it's exactly where he said he's going to be. Tournament day happens. Rich takes off the other direction. I guess he was trying to give me bad information.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
I start on the lake, and I just fish my way down the lake. I don't skip any water.
You said you go there, and while everybody runs around, you just fish all day.
I fish down the lake. I just don't skip water.
Right. He was trying to lead me astray. So anyhow, I fishing with Darren. We had 7 bites all day.
Yeah.
Caught 6 of them.
Flipping.
Yeah. Flipping the pads. That was it.
Nice.
Yeah. And we had 890. Rich had 895.
Yeah.
And that was we took seconds.
Good. And and I'm not saying this to rub it in at all, but a big thing that you had that Riz didn't is a torpedo.
Oh boy.
Had Riz had a torpedo on his boat,
Oh, he wouldn't have been late.
he wouldn't have been late, right?
Nah, not even close.
All right. Shout out to torpedo. Makes a big difference.
True story.
True story. Also want to catch up while we were fishing tournaments. Dave, I have a little note here that how's your garden progress going?
Is that what we're going to make fun of? Yeah, it's... oh, yeah, there it is. In
There it
capitals,
goes.
all
Dave's
caps.
garden progress in all caps.
It's
yeah.
going great. I mean, August and September are rough times, but, everything looks great.
All right.
Looks
And
Your garden always looks amazing.
We've got-
Ours is like a weed
yeah,
fest.
and Pete, when we're talking about Dave's garden, this is serious shit. We're not talking about this little like a shoebox or a little like raised bed here. We're talking about world class. We're talking about Home and Garden magazine shit.
It's gorgeous.
Brian the Carpenter, punch some of these through here. Let's look at some of these images.
Let people see.
Yeah, this is
garden's
real.
amazing.
This is real. I mean, this is something to be proud of here. I know we're busting your balls all the time, Dave.
All right, so
but
yeah,
this
so
is
to
this
people,
is real
walk through
shit.
some
here.
shots here.
Look at this.
West side.
the bluebell hydrangea bloom that I have on both right and left side.
Bluebell hydrangea.
Yes.
Wow. There it goes, the bluebell. All right.
You
Brian
ra-
the Carpenter, give us something. Give us another image. Dave, walk us through this one. And
So-
beautiful, too.
So what you see right in the front, the red, actually, a little bit, I would say the second tier of flowers would be perennial hibiscus. That specifically is the Margot maroon. And no, I just made that up.
All
I
right.
should have run with that.
All right, we got a third image here. Dave, take us through this image. Where are we at here?
So to the right's the yak shack, and it's just roses and
Nice
and
little
crepe
area,
myrtles.
though. It
Yeah.
looks peaceful.
It is really pretty.
It's
Thank you.
Y'all
beautiful.
are
It's gorgeous.
mean for making fun of Dave, but his gardens are amazing.
Thank
No, it's awesome. It's awesome, and it's like Longwood Gardens right in your backyard, which is
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And then
And, oh wait, we got one more, Dave. What is this?
Yeah,
one?
I painted the house. It was a wine color, and I painted it like
Wine
kind of like
color.
a. I would say kind of like I don't know, ethnic Smurf. Maybe it's like a darker blue, and
Sun
But
drenched
seriously, went
Smurf.
from like my favorite beverage to my favorite color. So I'm
Yeah.
down with what you did here.
it was tough. I mean, the blue's a hard color to find, and like a hard one to settle with. Once you start, that was like the 5th or 6th shade.
All
And
right,
they
so-
were all gross. They were all Smurf.
So there were the good pictures we could use. There was 4 good ones.
There's my hummingbird.
Yeah. Is that what that is?
Yeah. If you open that up,
I'm gonna put that through.
Everything
This
I
is
do.
what Dave sent me.
Yeah.
Dave's hummingbird on the message board wants to know.
Screenshot of a phone.
That's what that is.
Awesome.
Oh no.
Dude, so tell me about this thing.
Wait a minute. Is this more images of your backyard?
So what was this?
What's happening
Dave,
here?
Team No Fish said you're like the Martha Stewart of gardening.
Oh, thanks for that. But right now I'm cringing. I got an infiltrate. I got deep state obviously in my house, subverting me. All right. Oh God. So what that is can you open up the whole picture, Brian? Because it's not showing what I'm reaching for. Oh my God, I'm gonna kill her. So I'm out. I'm investigating some Sasquatch activity in the pond.
Oh! Now it's all coming together. Now we know why you were in the Pine Barrens. Wow, look
Were
at
you
that.
squatch hunting?
This is
Yes.
painful. This is painful.
We got to get Don Barone on
Wait.
to talk this out with you.
No,
Gotta
that's Jay
get him
Kumar.
some whiskey.
Or
This
Kumar.
is amazing.
No.
No, Don Barone is a squatch hunter.
Don Barone is?
Oh,
Hey,
Don is?
Yeah, Kumar is too.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Kumar wrote a darn book about it.
Well, I
Really?
wasn't going.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't
Why
going.
do I not realize
I
that?
wasn't
yeah.
going to out Kumar on it, but me and he and I confer notes. Well, not confer. We share notes, but
You should have seen the two of them at the Classic when they met.
I know this guy embarrassed me. You know what I mean? Like I finally.
They were locked in.
Yeah, dude, we had a moment, but no, that right there, and I'm not afraid to say it. You can't go find these things. They avail themselves to you. There's no looking for it.
No, but here, this image here, Brian, is clear evidence. The other one is clear evidence. Look at that.
You fucking the horse flies are
look,
hard.
look at here. Clear evidence on. Look at that. Look how high that
Wait,
branch
wait,
is
wait,
broken.
wait.
There's
I
no
need-
other way
I
that
need
branch
to-
can be broken.
I need to talk about this.
Yeah, so
because
let's do it.
I am so not against the belief
Right.
that there's a Sasquatch or a Nessie or unicorns
Right.
and like I want to believe mermaids.
Mermaid.
All this stuff.
Unicorns.
Don't get me started. I want to believe in a unicorn.
All right.
I want them to shit rainbows. I am not kidding. But listen. I don't understand how to believe if I can't find enough evidence.
Right.
Well, look
So-
at the broken branch
Like
right there.
UFOs,
That's clear evidence.
UFOs are legit. There is so much evidence. Of
course.
Sasquatch, there's not.
There's thousands of eyewitness accounts. But what is
yeah, but
that?
all those MFers are crazy.
No, they're
Why
not.
can't you get a
They
normal
crazy.
looking
They're all
one?
on mushrooms.
They're not. Listen to me
Screws.
closely. Listen to me. They just recently caught, for the first time ever, an orangutan giving birth. They never had that on film. That just happened last week in a
What's
zoo.
that? What's that?
Point is, you know things are there. You don't always catch it on film. In the 80s,
Right.
everyone knew drive-by shootings were happening.
They
in
never have
Compton,
an
but there was
orangutan
never
giving
one on
birth?
film at all. No.
So that's why Heather's cat's afraid
But
of the
here's my
blanket.
point, dude. Like, so what you saw me pointing at there, that tree at around 9 feet was twisted and bent over, and there's a series of them on that trail. That's Sandy Point Road in Wharton Forest. It's really remote. You can only get to that area on foot. It's an area I had found maybe like 3 years ago, but never brought like cameras to document it. Brought my wife to take pictures of it, and I infiltrated and embarrassed.
Shout out to Mel.
But wait, do you have evidence? Like, do you have any footprints?
So listen,
or?
yes.
Was there fur?
No, hold on, listen. Not in Wharton Forest. And every encounter I ever had, I had it with someone. We get my mom on the phone right now. When I was 12 years old, my stepdad had 300 acres in upstate Pennsylvania. It was like 4 hours away. I only know the nearest bar was Deer Valley Inn because I always thought it was so cool. Guys were in there with like buck knives and But anyhow, we were out deer spotting at night, and my stepdad's dead. But whatever we saw, until one is captured or we have proof, we watched a walking bear go across the road, dirt road, from right to left, right in front of us. But it was rectangular. It wasn't 9 feet tall like everyone says. It looked like an ordinary thing that was super square, rectangular, and slightly bent over, and it like glided across right into the corn. We couldn't see it.
Whoa.
Dave, you might have another believer that's inside of our organization now.
Uh-oh.
A Mr. Luke Foley from Tin Cup
Oh!
says he believes you, Dave.
There you go.
On this phone right here, wherever my phone is.
I don't know if the whiskey has anything to do with
No,
it.
hold
or
on.
not.
So that was my first
But
encounter.
I'm not saying I'm not a
hold
believer.
on.
I just haven't. I need evidence.
So
She needs-
my
she needs
wife.
fur.
Listen, that was with my mom. We could get my mom on the phone right now, and after she insults
Bet
me,
he wants a fur coat.
no, like
Squatch fur
yeah,
coat.
yeah, you're right, dude.
A Gucci. She wants a Gucci
She
Squatch
wants
purse.
she wants a pelt from a juvenile squatch
And then she'll believe.
to wrap it around her
Wait,
neck.
why do I have to be the bad guy now? Just because
No.
I'm asking for evidence.
Hold on, man. You guys, if you're gonna let me explain. So that was with my mom. My mom will say we watched a bear walk across the road, which we did. But bears don't walk We ever watch a bear? They're goofy. This was a road. This was a road and thing. Whatever. Second thing happened with my wife. We were in Everglades, deep in the swamp in a national park, and we took a picture of it. It's all on my older phones, but I have it. A track where regular civilian tracks are over top of it, but it's clearly a bizarre-looking, gigantic foot. And it wasn't like our foot. It was more like it was more like wider, like a frog, like a frog.
Let me ask you this:
foot.
I'm following this.
Maybe it was
and
JT Kenny's.
And I
Could have been.
I can believe this. I can see the possibility of something like this happening. But so what you're saying is that there's more than one, right? Because you're saying Pennsylvania, Everglades, Pine Barrens. So you're
there
saying
has to be.
It's a species out there.
I have more.
You have more.
I have more stories.
Wow.
I had 4 different encounters, dude.
In different places.
But I immerse myself in the forest, and I do it a lot. Like,
right.
You guys don't know. I mean, I do it by myself. I don't. But I never had an encounter by myself.
It's like a secret society.
No. So the third encounter, the footprint, whatever. I have the picture of it. It's bizarre. You can look at it. I don't know. But my wife and I were sneaking on the private property, way up in the Adirondacks.
Right on. I'm with that.
To get our kayaks on, but we walked the road in before we drug the kayaks in.
Yeah.
It's a water treatment plant about 30 miles west of Glen Falls.
Okay.
Nothing around. Sparse houses once in a while. It's foggy. I got this on my phone, and I wasn't going to out Jay Kumar, but I sent it to him. We're standing there, and the loons are going back and forth. And loons are unique. Everyone knows what a loon sounds like.
Yeah.
And there's something fucking with the loons, making a sound that both of us looked at each other. Then all of a sudden your DNA gets activated. You got goosebumps. You're breathing heavy. And I started recording. And it's something with lips fucking around with the loons, howling.
You're kidding me.
Her and I have never had the urge to go back there again, dude. Like, we weren't terrified, but it was like, my God, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it was
a scene from Deliverance.
Nah, yeah, it was. I don't know, but we won't. I had no desire to go back there again.
Right.
And I have 2 60-second clips of it.
Oh, I want to hear that.
But Dave, if you're trying to if you're a Squatch hunter, right?
We were trying to go fish frog.
Right. Right. But now you're actively looking for Squatches. You're doing all this tracking, and you think you saw one up there. Why wouldn't you go back?
So that's a good question. And get Melanie on the phone. I don't know, because it was so close there.
Yeah,
when
but
I go in the woods, I'm not
more
looking.
People see Squatch? Like, there's something obviously
there are
about
thousands
them.
of people that see them. There are thousands of accounts, and they're not all crazy.
This is such shit.
You know? No, but hold on.
I like this.
Hold on.
I like it too.
I believe in spirits and ghosts, so I'm open.
But they're
Charles
all
Dougherty
interlinked.
said it was Brian's ghost in the woods.
I came across Brian's
Our
ghost
last
in the
encounter,
woods.
we were hiking with the kids in the Adirondacks on Bear Mountain. It's across. It's on the eastern side of Lake George, and it's a steep. It's maybe a 2,400, maybe 1,800 elevation, and it's just you do a Z up it. You're not walking straight up.
Yeah.
About maybe 3 Z's away from us, you can see a big ass tree being shook, and that some bitch crashed over, dude. We turned around with the kids and we were going. I'm telling you,
whoa!
You can't when I go out, I'm not looking for them. I don't expect to see one.
Hold on a second. Wait, what?
What, Brian? Are you reading something or are you talking to me?
No, I'm not looking for them. What the hell's in your hands?
No, I was documenting the trees that we got over, and that was old. That was old break.
You got them.
Is that the machinery from Ghostbusters? What is that?
Beep, 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 beep.
Listen,
I'm not looking for you. Got them binoculars in your hands.
All I was doing there, that was a camera. that was a camera. That was a Canon. All I was doing there was taking pictures of the old wood. I've never purposefully went out thinking I was going to see one. Anytime we ever had anything weird, I was doing something other than that.
Yeah.
Right.
So Mike and I,
it's like they know you're looking for them.
Yeah, we might have mentioned this on the show before.
Yeah, we had an experience.
Yeah, it wasn't a Squatch, but it was me, Mike, and Tom all went to Alaska, say 15 years ago.
That sounds
12,
about right.
15 years ago. When me and Mike went there, our buddy Tom was stationed in the Coast Guard in Homer, so we went up and stayed with him for a week. And we went and hiked up into the mountains and camped for 3 days. And the one night we all saw something, right? We all saw it. So we're there. We're under the lunar light. Yeah, the moon did come up. Yeah, that's right. So the sky was clear.
Yeah,
the moon
it was a bright
up.
night.
That was the bright night.
Yeah,
and we're standing here on this kind of cliff, this edge, outlooking this lake, and it was mind blowing how amazing the visuals were. Standing there, I hear Tom like start. Either you or Tom saw it first, and I don't know because I ignored it the first couple times. I was just into what I was looking at, the moon reflecting off the lake and the mountains and everything. Just kind of, it was amazing. But when I finally look over, I see it on the side of the mountain. There was a light, and the light went and disappeared. And I'm like, holy shit, I saw it too. I saw it like 3 times. You guys might have saw it like 5 times or something like that.
No, Sasquatch has a light?
No, they're
lantern.
linked. Those lights are linked with Squatch sightings, but go ahead. They're called orbs, by the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, we saw it. And the distance might have been a mile, might have been a half mile, might have been 2 miles. It's hard to judge, not being from the big country like that, how far that distance was away. But in the side of the mountain, the tree line was getting sparse. We were up there a bit, we're fairly. It happened.
Yep.
We saw it.
Weird experience.
Orb
Some kind of light.
lights with Sasquatch.
Yeah.
They absolutely are linked. If you follow the phenomenon, they're linked, and I don't know why. And I don't know.
No one knows why.
I don't know. Like, we can shock a lake and see what comes up. If we shocked the planet and there was none of them, I'd be okay with having watched a bear walk across the road. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. If the aliens come down when disclosure happens and they're here and they're like, look, Dave, you didn't see a Squatch, you didn't hear one. We don't know what shook the tree. But, like the other things that I'd be fine with it. Like, they don't have to exist, but I experience these things. You ready?
Oh, boy.
Oh, no. Yeah, this is actual footage?
No, this is the audio.
Oh.
Hang on.
Oh, we'll be able to hear this.
I'm going
Let's go put his mic.
Yeah, let's see if we can hear this.
You'll hear the loon. Hold on.
Quiet. Shh. Quiet.
You don't hear it? I mean, I don't know how well it goes.
I was waiting for it.
I'm trying to put a phone. I don't know if you can hear it.
I was waiting for something.
Dave, you can send me the video. Maybe we can pull it up.
Wow.
That's what I've been dealing with my whole life.
I feel like we just been
Proof
playing.
undeniable right there.
I believe, Pete. Do you believe, Pete? You are probably the most intelligent, rational.
Oh, hell no.
No. Listen, Pete. You analyze.
Driving with a damn mask by himself in the truck.
No, I know, but listen.
That ain't rational.
You analyze. You overanalyze to extreme with things. Pete, give us your take on all this.
I get scared, so I don't try not to think about it. No, I mean, it honestly is giving me goosebumps. I was up in Michigan just recently, and I come out of the rental house, and it's like pitch black, and the bushes go crazy, and I mean, I was just terror,
Yeah.
But I was thinking bear. Now I'd be thinking Sasquatch,
Right.
But it wasn't, it was deer, right? I heard the hooves hit the street, and I actually breathed for like the first time in like 60 seconds. I was just stone frozen. But,
There's another guy.
But I don't know.
Big
There's
in this
many-
industry.
I got to pull the plug on
There's
this.
so many hunters.
Well, whatever.
There's so many people that spend their lives in the woods. There's so many people that just live there.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This would be revealed by now. Somebody would have tagged it by now.
There's another guy who's huge in the industry, Mike, and I'll tell you when we're off the air 'cause I'm not going to out him.
What? Come on, out him.
Another believer?
I'm not going to say who it is. I'll tell you guys off the air.
What are you afraid of?
He's big. He's almost as big as you.
All right. Now, before we get into the next topic, I do have to admit this. I never admit it to Becky. I never admit it to any of you guys because I was embarrassed. I'm telling you, I had an experience where, and again, I can't explain it. I don't know exactly what it was. It might have been a Sasquatch, might have been Bigfoot. I don't know. but it happened at Pete's favorite Wawa about 5 a.m. in the morning. I was headed to a tournament up at Manasquan. I swear it could have been Sasquatch walking in that Wawa. I'm not sure.
It's
All right,
Chris Alfonso.
let's keep going.
Was that the lawn side Route 30 Wawa? Because there's several Sasquatches over there.
What do we need to do here, Brian? Before
I mean, I feel like it's 8 o'clock. Randy's been sitting, waiting, watching.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready to roll.
All right,
ready to roll?
Is he hard? Let's take a break.
We're going to take a break. We're going to take a break before we get to Randy. Before we do that, too, I do have one other note real quick. Yep, I have one other note. Dave, go ahead. I'm going to have one other note real quick. It says, Becky, we want an update on your electric fence to keep my friends away. How's your electric fence doing?
Clearly, I'm not doing well because they're all in this building.
Okay. Dave?
Hold on, Dave.
You got me. That's what all the Ike Foundation keychains are. They're shockers, I found out, dude.
It does double duty.
And when I get close to the office, I all of a sudden get shocked.
That's right.
Not nice.
I wish, everyone, but they're all still here.
Yeah, they're still here.
We're still here.
All right.
I think our viewers all left, but we're still here.
They might have. All right.
Sasquatch conversations, throwing them away.
Real quick, we're going to take a break. Before we take the break, though, and we're going to get, again, if you're watching right now, cannot wait for this next guest. We've got Randy Blockett join us here in just a minute or two. Becky, we just spoke of the Ike Foundation. Give us an update. There's a few weeks left to sign up for the Ike Foundation kayak event up on Lake Kayaking. This is going to be good.
This is super exciting. So, as everyone knows, back in the day, we used to combine the Pro-Am boat tournament with the kayak tournament, both on the Delaware River. We kind of changed everything this year. So, of course, the Pro-Am ended up down on the Upper Bay, which was a huge, huge success. And then we moved the kayak tournament to September, Lake Kayaking. There's only a few spots left. Please go to the IkeFoundation.org, sign up. All the information is there, or our Facebook page, Instagram page. You can find the information there. There's only a few spots left. It's amazing. It's an awesome tournament. All the proceeds go to the Ike Foundation, but we've got awesome prizes, probably even better prizes than we had in the past because we were able to split up these events.
Yeah.
We're still able to do it with social distancing and the virtual captain's meeting, and everything's going to run amazing.
Right.
But you get to fish against Mike.
Right. Now, this is a big one. Listen, this is a big one. I'm going to be competing.
Yep.
I'm not going soft on him, Pete. I'm out here to draw blood, just like at the Potomac. I'm going to try hard, try to win. Hapakong, let you know, I had the record there back in the 90s, 19.78, Pete, largest five-fish limit at the time on Lake Kayaking. I think it's since been broken, but I know the lake. I feel confident. I'm going to try to win. So I invite you to come up and try to beat me if you can. Also, I want to stress this. You do not have to have a Hobie kayak to fish this event. You have any kayak, right? Any brand, a Dick's Sporting Goods Pelican kayak, anything, right?
Whatever kayak. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Can it be homemade? Life raft style.
No, I mean, it has to be a legitimate kayak.
Okay.
Canoe?
Because I got a couple
can't be
people
a piece
that might.
of wood
Okay.
that you want to climb on. Like, it's
All
got to
right.
be a legitimate kayak.
Got it.
And where can
Paddleboard.
and there's spots still left. Where can they go to get information on how to
If
join?
you go to the IkeFoundation.org, we've got all the information there for you to be able to sign up and get yourself all set up to fish. Again, I would hurry because there's only a few spots left. When I talked to the ladies the other day, I think there was less than 10 spots. So that was a few days ago. So hurry up, sign up, join us. It's going to be a ton of fun. Again, the proceeds go to the IkeFoundation.org. Just a reminder that we have not been able to host many of our fundraising events.
Yeah.
So your support is greatly appreciated.
Critical.
Any donations are greatly appreciated because we are still sending product across the country, rods, reels. We're still supporting kids. We're still getting kids out fishing, but we don't have the events to fundraise.
Right.
So your support is really, really, really appreciated at this time.
Need your support. Head on over to IkeFoundation.org and get information on it. Yeah, what do you got, Pete?
I was just going to say, if people wanted to donate, they can't be there. How can they do that?
We can take donations on the website. There's on the Ike Foundation website. You can also just make donations, which are appreciated.
Yeah. If you want to support kids fishing, please head over to ikefoundation.org, and there's a lot of ways that you could help. We're going to take a break. Brian the Carpenter, Rizzo, we're going to take a little break. Listen, hang in there, because when we come back, I can't wait. Can't wait to get the guy on the phone here. Randy Blockett's going to be joining us, tour veteran, in just a couple minutes. Hang in there with us. When we come back, more Ike Live.
Hi. Today we're going chest to chest in the Dr. Squatch lather test. On that half of Mike's impressive chest, we're rubbing him down with 3 name brand bars. The result? A sad, milky film of disappointment. How's that feel, Mike? You see, Big Soap cuts corners and strips out all the sudsy goodness in order to make production cheaper. But not Dr. Squatch. Don't worry, Mike. Dr. Squatch soap retains all the natural ingredients, which creates a rich, foamy lather, leaving your skin healthy, soft, and clean. Ooh, looks like Squatch is taking over this peck party. How do you feel now, Mike? Dr. Squatch Natural Soap. When we say it lathers, it f***ing lathers.
You deserve glorious lather. Take the lather challenge for yourself today.
4.5-inch drop shot worm, Bama bug. Finesse jig, PB&J, give me something hard. Hey, KVD here. Now, I didn't always know this much about fishing. 4-aught EWG worm hook. In fact, there was a time when I couldn't tell the difference between a jerkbait and a stickbait. But then I signed up for Mystery Tackle Box, the original monthly tackle subscription. And now I know more about fishing than I do about calculus.
And he knows a lot about calculus.
Plus, I get amazing extras like free fishing magazines. October 2016. Featured article, 4 places to throw a frog. Exclusive decals. Zombie bass. And how-to videos for all the great baits I receive. How to tune a crankbait. Is that underwater footage I smell?
I got goosebumps.
So if you're looking to develop enhanced fishing abilities like me, or you just like getting new tackle every month, go to mysterytacklebox.com and get your box today. Ooh, live minnows. Is it lunchtime already? Nature's candy. Oh. Is he in my pocket?
This time of year, I definitely recommend putting a little bit of this on your soft plastics too. There he is. Another one. Next cast. And that would be number 6. I'm addicted. I'll admit it. I'm straight addicted.
This might be bigger. You think so?
Yeah. Feels bigger. I haven't even seen this thing yet. It doesn't want to come up. Don't break me off the rocks.
Oh, it's a... Oh!
27-incher.
He caught it.
28.
Oh my god, that's such a healthy fish. Look at this size.
Put a little liquid mayhem on your crappie jig, and look where the stripers get it.
You can't even see it, man.
That might be a keeper.
All right. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Ike Live Show. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I know we are. So excited, Brian the Carpenter. Just a minute or two here. We're going to have a first-time guest on the Ike Live Show. Big honor for me. Big thing for me to get this guy on the show and get to talk to him. Mr. Randy Blockett is going to be joining us in just a few minutes here. Such an inspiration for me in my career and a guy that I really feel like has changed the sport. And we're going to talk to him about that and other things. I want to mention real quick, Brian, we have a lot of these shows on Sunday.
Yes.
Today happens to be a special Sunday because it marks what?
I heard football started today.
The start of football. Football's back. Very exciting for a lot of us who are football fans. Riz, unfortunately, the Eagles didn't get a W today to the new Washington football team.
Yeah. The
changed the
Washington.
name. The Washington team.
As the Wawa Hoagie lady said, the red and yellow team.
The red and yellow team, they played and lost to it, so little disappointed at that. But football season's here, Bri. We're going to be competing, I guess, every Sunday with football, as we've done for the last 5 or 6 years. But because it's football season, man, I'm stoked. I'm stoked right here. I am so excited to announce a brand new sponsor of Ike Live for the NFL season, and it is MyBookie.ag. That's right. This NFL season, listen to me. Anyone who signs up to MyBookie.ag, all you have to do, if you sign up and use the promo code, you ready for this? It's easy, Beck. IKE. Use the promo code Ike. You're going to receive a 100% bonus match that's up to $1,000.
Yeah,
all you have to do.
So that means if you sign up, open your account with $500, they'll match that $500.
They're going to match it
100%.
up to $1,000. They're going to match it
crazy.
100%. That's unbelievable.
I'm not even a gambling person, but that's amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. All you have to do, go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code IKE. You're going to receive a 100% matchup up to $1,000. That's amazing. That's amazing. During these weird times, right? Weird, strange times. If you like to gamble, if you're like me and you like to gamble, sign up for this. It's going to be great. Go to mybookie.ag. Use that promo code IKE, and it's going to be great. Come on.
One of my favorite lines. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, come on, let's bet.
I know, I cut you off. My bad.
That's all right.
Come on, let's bet.
So one of my favorite lines from Naked Gun. Remember Naked Gun? The whole series of movies, Frank Drebin.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, he says, I don't know, somebody asked him if he gambles. He says, the only time I gamble is when I eat out. I just stuck in my mind forever, dude. I freaking love that line.
Literally anyone who watches this show gambles because you don't know what you're going to get.
You don't know what you're going to get.
You're gambling with your time.
If you fish, you gamble.
Yeah, if you fish tournaments,
that's
you gamble.
right.
You gamble.
Beauty of that, though,
So go
Mr.
double
Becker,
your money.
Is you're gambling on yourself when you're fishing.
That's true.
That's what makes our sport
You
great.
are. You're gambling yourself. Let me remind everybody, once again, if you're watching...
I'm not.
Good point.
But yes.
If you're watching over on Facebook, Riz, we invite them to like and share the feed. Like and share the feed.
Yeah.
If you like and share the feed over on Facebook, you're going to be entered into a contest to win the world-famous Ike Live gift bag. And Riz, we're going to be picking a winner here at the end of the show.
We sure are. And
World's heaviest gift bag.
That gift bag is absolutely loaded to the teeth, guys. It's a really, really good one. And when you like and share tonight's feed, make sure you turn on your notifications for Ike Live on all your social media channels. That way you can stay up to date with all the stuff that we have going on. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're on all of it. Twitter as well. So keep up with us, guys. We want to hear from you over there as well as on the message board. We appreciate everybody watching tonight.
Yes, definitely. Please, especially when Randy comes on, if you have questions, comments, anything about tonight's show, hit us up on the IM. We really do. We want to hear from you. It's very, very, very important. Pete, Brian Carpenter, in a couple minutes here. I think we're good. I think we've got him on. I'm so excited. We've had so many amazing guests on this show over the years, from athletes in different sports to actors, famous people, different walks of life. But I'm excited. I'm excited to have this guy on the show tonight. Who?
We had actors on?
Of course we had actors
Ed
on.
Bassmaster.
Ed Bassmaster.
Damn.
Yeah, actor and a comedian.
You bailed him out, dude.
No, there's more than that, too. We've had other actors on.
You're full
What
of
about Maurizo Shimizu?
Damn, we just lost Randy.
Well, Maurizo Shimizu was an actor. We had him and Cliff Crochet on at the same time.
Remember that time Chris Pratt came on?
Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
The Rock. We've also had The Rock on before.
That's right. That's right.
But anyway, I'm excited to have this guy on the show tonight. For the first time on Ike Live, we've got the one and only Mr. Randy Blockett joining us on the show. Randy! Brian the Carpenter, fix this audio.
I'm working on it.
Brian will fix the audio here in a second.
Randy, can you hear us?
So Mike, when we were on the Potomac and we were at that one bridge that was kind of like borderline low, and I was like, man, we should really take the trolling motor off, maybe pull the plug a little bit, let some water in the boat to get under. And you said That's some Randy Blockett type shit.
I said that's some Randy Blockett shit. Yeah,
I immediately started like wondering like who's this? What's this Randy Blockett all about?
Yeah.
I went into a Lynn Dollar, time warp hole and started watching some of the old stuff. Like
you went way back.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. We're super excited.
Keep talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's serious, and I cannot tell you how many times in my career, I've tried to access places. With that in mind, and gone the extra mile to get somewhere, whether it's getting under something, getting over something, getting through something.
Shout out to Bascat Yamaha.
Yeah, shout out to Bascat Yamaha. But seriously, and as soon as we get this fixed in a second here, I'd love for Randy to hear this. But, when you talk about it's hard to explain this, Riz, but when you talk about, how your career and your style is shaped, in fishing. You look at people. You look at people you've looked up to. You look at your peers. You look at people you see on TV, read in magazines, and Randy, for me, at that time period, for me in the '80s, right, the early to mid '80s into the '90s, very, very instrumental to me with the mindset, the fishing style. The power fishing style, the fish the moment mindset, and I think what happens as you develop your skills, as you become who you are as an angler, or you copy things, you take things from guys, and I definitely for sure, and Brian the Carpenter can back me up on this. A lot of it was our club days, grassroots days. We were mimicking what we saw these guys doing. And for me, a lot of it was I was mimicking what I saw Randy doing. I saw Randy doing this crazy shit to get places. I was seeing him pitch and flip and make casts I've never seen made before. And I was intrigued by it. So there was that side of it. And then the other side of it was the mental side of it, which I cannot wait. As soon as we get through this.
Yeah, just give me 1 second to get him dialed in.
I cannot wait to flush this out. But if you're watching right now, and Riz, I want to sort of explain this to you. When I started in like the 80s, right, nobody really looked at the mental side of the sport. It was, you looked at it and it was technique based. It was just, you tie a lure on, you throw it out, and you reel it in. And it was just very black and white. And I would say Randy, I would say Rick Clunn, guys like that, to me, were the first guys that put a reason to why they were catching the fish, right? The mental side of it, right? They were saying, well, these fish are here because this is happening. They're looking at seasonality. They're looking at weather patterns, conditions, patterning fish, logging stuff, and saying this is happening every year the same time. And again, that side of it for me changed my fishing because it wasn't just luck. It wasn't just throwing a lure out and reeling it in. It was why?
Right.
Why
Mike,
are you doing this?
When do you think in your career that why started to click and you were able to answer some of those things for why you're catching fish in these scenarios, why it's happening every year? Like, did it happen for you before you turned pro? Did it happen
before?
Okay.
Before. It happened when I started reading about these guys through Bassmaster magazine, when I started watching these guys on the TV show. And then I would go out and again, back then there was no internet and all that, right? So the research tools weren't there, but I would watch them, and then I would go out and try it myself. I would pretend I was in these tournaments. I would have these little sessions by myself, me against the fish. But then I would start taking notes, like these guys were taking notes. I would start saying, man, why is this happening? Why is this going over? Talking about taking notes, Pete, I know you did the same thing a lot as early in your career. And it's for me, again, it changed my career,
Oh, what the hell? Go ahead, Pete.
Go ahead, Pete. We got you now.
Yeah. I mean, it reveals everything. And I want to go back a little bit because I don't know if you could hear me earlier, but Randy was, when I watched him go underneath that bridge and sink that boat, and it was so impactful watching him flip over the top of the tree branches. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember it like it was, dude. I can remember like it was yesterday.
Pulled the plug, right?
Yeah.
Pulled the plug on the boat, but the way he was catching the fish.
He was going over the cover, like not skipping. Like it was so intense, so thick, and he was actually, just going over top and going in. And I watched, and I was totally influenced by it, like we all were. And I spent years trying to get into places, but I never seemed to catch any fish that way. But you know what I mean? Like it's so you can go into 20 places like that, and it's only going to be one time where the fish are really there for you, So it's a tremendous commitment to do it. But Randy was influential there for sure. But you're talking about taking notes. I mean, I've been taking notes. I took notes on pressure, water temperature, patterns, the fish that I caught. But here's the most important thing. The most important thing that I learned from documenting from my notes and my tournament performances were when I had a strong finish, I'd go back and look at what my practice notes were and how I actually caught the fish during the tournament. And it relates to the Potomac River just now.
Right.
Like I never thought of myself as a flipper. Like I never thought of myself as being particularly skilled or talented in that arena. But when I went back and looked at my wins and my top finishes, every single time it pointed to flipping as a technique. And I would have never discovered that, if I hadn't documented it and taken the time to write that stuff down. And that's what I think guys really need to do, because you may think you're good at cranking or top water or whatever it may be, but what the notes and your results will reveal is what you're actually better at than everybody else,
Yeah.
And that's huge, So I have books and a lot of notes over the years, and you really got to do that earlier in your career. And I don't take as many notes as I do. Do you still keep detailed records? But I've kind of gotten away from it.
I still do, not as hardcore as I did, earlier in my career. I was hardcore to where I'd have dedicated notebooks, like entire notebooks for each year where I would document practice, tournament, even notes after the tournament, like should have did this, should have did, I would get so hardcore. But I still am a big believer that mental side of the sport is important. All right, I think Brian Carpenter, I think we've got him on. Joining us now, finally through the issues, Mr. Randy Blockett joins us on Ike Live. Randy!
Hey, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened there. Major technical difficulties on this end here.
That's okay. That's every show we deal with some technical issues, so it's par for the course here.
Don't worry, I'm getting blamed.
Brian always gets blamed. We're going to blame it on the producer. That's what he's here for. First of all, Randy, thank you for joining us on the show. I just want to tell you right now that I'm like a kid in a candy store right now having you on this show. It's amazing to me. I don't know if you heard anything that happened, but you were a huge inspiration for me in my career.
Appreciate it.
I honestly want to thank you. Huge inspiration. And, everything from the angler that I am today with my style, the way that I fish, to the way that I feel like I think about fishing, from the mental side of things. A lot of it I watched you in the early to mid 80s. That's when I was just cutting my teeth. I was watching everything I could watch, reading the magazines. And I just want to say thank you, man. You're a great instructor, and you shaped my career. So thank you for that.
Man, that is quite a compliment there. Definitely coming from somebody with your credentials. Geez, that's pretty good flattery. Appreciate that.
I want to say too, real quick. It wasn't just me, because I've got in the room. I'm lucky with this show Then I've got our producer, Brian the Carpenter, and Dave Brodzik, who's sitting next to me on the right. We fish for the same bass club. And, I know it's hard to think about this, but, like, we were watching you, like, we would, like, rewind the VHS cassettes, right? Because it was pre-DVR and all that. But we would be at a club meeting, and we'd have the remote, and, like, rewinding, like your Bugs Island win, and we were just like blown away. We were like in our early 20s, we're just like, oh my God, what the hell? We've never seen anything like this. And, I know you at the time you're not thinking about it, because I know I've had maybe that effect on some people, and I don't think about it. But, dude, you were affecting a whole new generation of anglers. Did you ever think about that?
I guess after that Bugs Island tournament, that whole sink in that boat deal sort of went viral. And even today, I heard people talking about it. I didn't realize at the time that it was that big of a deal, because in that particular tournament, I think Hank Parker and Denny Brower did the same thing on some areas they were fishing. But that, for some reason, that just stuck with people. And I still got a lot of people today, look back on that. But, man, that's just the same it is. It's like, every one of us in the generation that we came up, we all had people that we looked up to, and they were mentors.
Yeah.
I had the same, when I was young, you did when you were young. And that's just sort of the cycle of life in tournament fishing.
Yeah. It's interesting, because I know a lot of my peers that I fish with, when I look back and I say, well, who were your guys that, you looked up to? Who were the guys that you mimicked and developed your career after? And the names that always come up are like, Larry Nixon, Roland Martin, Jimmy Houston, and those names come up a lot, right? But for me, it was you, it was Rick Clunn, Brower for sure, Gary Klein, you guys, and double-sided, right? From not just from the techniques, like, the power fishing styles that we were watching you guys do that were so new to a lot of us, but the mental side of it. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, because before you came on, I explained to Riz. Riz is our young buck in the room. Riz, how old are you again? 30.
He beats us at everything, Randy. Like, we can't beat him in swimming, chugging, arm wrestling.
He beats us at everything.
Like nothing, man. I even tried to cheat and I can't.
Yeah, he's a young guy, but it's hard for Riz to understand that there was a time in the sport where guys weren't looking at the mental side of the sport, right? And you and Rick, especially Rick, were, in my mind, the first guys that really were putting reasons to why you were catching the fish. And that was so important to me, because it was like, I growing up in Jersey and Philadelphia, guys were like, it's luck. It's lucky. Fishing's luck.
Still is a thought.
Yeah.
But what Randy had, I think what we recognized, Mike, while we might not have been able to articulate it, he has a great articulation, but with brevity.
Yeah,
and that's a gift.
It's a gift. It's a gift. But you guys were able to say, this is happening for a reason, right? And you were pattern fishing, and you were talk about that, because you guys were groundbreaking at the time for doing that.
Well, a lot of it was you mentioned the Pine Barrens, that you guys hang out in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey.
Well, just I do.
Just
Dave.
A lot of that mental side of fishing started in the Pine Barrens, because I went to Tom Brown Jr.'s Wilderness Survival in the Pine Barrens, and that sort of is what got me, morphed into that. And a lot of it started out with sort of the Native American philosophies, not only just the primitive survival skills, but also the spiritual skills that they learned as part of that those survival mechanisms thousands of years ago. And that opened up a whole new area of like trying to increase your awareness beyond the obvious. And you've been there. Anybody like yourself that has fished as long as I do, you experience moments on the water of heightened awareness.
Oh yeah.
And once you do that, once you feel that magic of that heightened awareness, that's when you can, say to yourself, hey, there's more about this than just flipping that brush pile. There's an unexplained, mysterious, mystical variable in fishing that allows you to get into that flow and get into that. You've been in the zone a lot of times, you know how special it is. And basically what like Rick and myself did early on, is we tried to really identify what that zone was and to see if you could like have some reproducible results about getting in there.
Yeah.
And that it's a lifelong process. It's never ending, and nobody has figured it out. It's like nobody can just step into that flow, into that zone all the time.
Yeah.
But basically, the whole mental aspect of fishing was just a way to improve performance and learn more about yourself as a person.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot on the show, and every time we do, we get these IMs that come through, and, it's our viewers saying, what do you mean? What the zone, like, I don't get it. I've never been in that place. And give us an example, Randy, because I've got one I want to share again. I think I've shared it on the show before, but give us an example of an event that you've been in where it was happening. That magic was happening all around you, and you couldn't stop it. Give us an example of one of those.
One that comes up to me, that Bassmaster Top 150 I won at the Mobile Delta.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was fishing this little tiny creek. It was a small creek way up the river. It was super quiet. The only thing you could hear was crickets and tree frogs chirping. And once you get into that flow where you're having a good tournament, you're close to being at the lead in the tournament, and you're in position to win, that's when, like, for me anyway, it's like, and I know you know what I'm talking about because you've been in the same position. It's like all your senses become more heightened. Your vision is keener. Your smells, your hearing is a lot more keener, and you're a lot more aware of all the subtle, minute things going on in the water. And it's almost like, for me, in the tournaments that I've won or finished high in, it's like you see yourself scanning, the cover that's up in front of you, yet at the same time, you're completely focused on what you're doing. You're completely in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's just, for me, it's just a super heightened awareness.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting to stay there. I mean,
yeah. I remember that tournament because I actually fished that tournament, and I remember after getting whooped I remember how extremely tough it was, and I got whooped for 2 days, and I said, how are these guys catching them? And I could not wait to watch it. You cannot wait to learn where you went wrong. And the one thing I remember after watching that, Randy, I watched you win that one, is I could tell that you were in the zone. And I think, for any angler that's been there, you can watch someone and see when they're in the zone. Because I remember watching you how calm and deliberate you were on that last day. For me, I get very spastic on the last day when I'm in the hunt, But I remember you were just each piece of cover with that worm. I think it was a ringworm. You were just picking it apart, calm, deliberately. And I remember watching it, and I go, holy hell. I'm like, yeah, he was in that place, And I've had it happen. I've said this before. I'll give a quick version of it, but Lake Seminole tournament that I won in 2002, I think it was. Yeah, and I was fishing a crankbait, and by the third day, I knew when the fish was going to bite it, and I had a camera on me.
Wow.
And I'd throw that plug out there, and I'd reel it, and I was ripping it through grass, and I'm reeling it, and I had a camera guy with me, and I'd be like, okay, there he goes, and I'd say, there he goes, or here he comes, and it was before the fish bit it, but I was in that place where I was so aware with the vibrations of the crankbait, I felt the fish drafting the plug. And that I wish I could do that every time, but it's so hard to duplicate that. And you mentioned that, right?
Yeah. Why do you think that it's so hard to recreate that? Because to me, it's something like it just happens. It's something that just sort of like a door opens and you walk through it. But if you if you go into the next tournament and you try to recreate the things that happened in the previous tournament, it just does not work. So why do you think it's hard to get in there and stay?
It's interesting. I wish I knew, and
because you're trying to force it.
You're trying to force it.
You're trying to force it because you felt it, so you feel like you can get back there, but you force it. Like we don't innately go to that whatever that sense is,
Right.
like whatever that spiritual sense is that puts you kind of outside your body and in touch with nature. Like we don't innately go there. That was bred out of us from the time we were little.
Yeah.
So like when you're in it, it's this amazing thing, but as an adult, you don't know how to force your body back into it, and you try to force yourself.
It reminds me a lot of the whole Vegas theory when he's on the water and he makes things so simplified, and the worm, it's hiding from the bass, or it's he sees a piece of cover and it's his city. It's the fish's city. It's because he's not. It's funny, like in how we talk about it, but it's so legit in what you just said of that. Like as you become an adult, like you get formed opinions and you kind of outthink some of those things. Paralysis by analysis, like you name it. Like and when you get in that flow state, like you guys are talking about, it's just your mind is just. It's just going, and it's just in tune with the moment.
It sounds familiar. Like you can't go out looking for the third eye. It finds you. I've experienced similar things. We just talked about it.
That's right.
Oh, you could definitely go looking for it. You probably even pay for it.
But that's so crazy. Like, how do you go from a kid who can innately kind of like be in touch with it? Like, how do we stop that? Over analyzing.
Take him out of school.
How do you stop that?
Take him out of school.
Done. He's out. I ripped him out.
So on that topic, when Pete and Mike, you guys were talking about your note taking and how you studied, and I'm sure Randy, you can attest to some of this as well. I almost feel like in the generation where information was not so plentiful, there was some advantages to the way that you guys became fishermen and became masters of your craft, because through your note taking, through your own research, through your own studies, you formed those opinions on your own, and you came to those conclusions yourself. So whether they're true or not, there's not some JO that's going to tell you no you're wrong because this is how it actually happens. You don't have that in your own mind. It's right. And when you trust your instinct and you trust your gut, 9 times out of 10, you fish better than when you're getting a report from somebody else. Yeah. So
when I won Lake Martin, and I remember I was trying to break through. It was 1999, and I wrote down every single thing that I thought or felt during the tournament, during practice, that allowed me to feel that, like that peripheral that just exploded, like everything. The baseball became as big as the basketball, just like you're talking about. But the one thing that I wrote down, Randy, was that I felt like I had a 20-pound stringer in the boat before I made my very first cast. Like I had that feeling of not overthinking it, Becky. Like I was already there. I had already won the tournament and didn't even make the first cast yet. I haven't, my question to you, Randy, is have you and Rick and your guys, have you figured a way out to practice to try to get yourself there? Is there a strategy for preparing to try to find that zone? Have you gone down that path?
Yeah, I mean, back when I first started, getting into this and I started experiencing some success, I got super excited because I said, man, I have finally found the key to doing well in these tournaments, and I'm just going to dominate the sport from now. And it does not work like that. It's like Becky was saying, the harder you push it and the more you try, the more it does not work. Yeah. And to me, something that it happens on the water. Here's an example. Say you're fishing the first morning of the tournament and you hook this unexpected giant out of nowhere. Say you get the 7-pounder on and you haven't even seen a fish over 2 pounds the whole week, and you get this fish right up the boat, and one of two things either happens. Either that fish makes a weird turn and comes off, or he gets in the boat. And the momentum behind either losing that fish or getting that unexpected big fish in the boat is something that can either trigger you and push you into that zone, or it can take you out and put you into a slump. It's like there's a mental, it's like that power that we're talking about, that mystical power, neutral. It goes either way. It can throw you in a slump. It can throw you into a streak. And nobody has identified that. I've talked to Rick about this before. Rick's probably been the closest one that has been able to recreate that on any consistent basis, but he still hasn't mastered it. I don't even think it's possible. And that goes back to what I learned about in the survival school about the ancient Native Americans, because they had to rely on this. For their very survival, they had to rely on these instincts that largely in modern society today, we forgot that we had those abilities and those instincts. So it's one of the most fascinating yet frustrating topics to me in the sport. And I tell you one thing, I know for a fact on my own fishing that I've had a bunch of tournaments that I have just fell on my butt trying to force that to happen instead of just keeping it simple and fishing like you should just be fishing simple.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like my block is always, and I've mentioned this on the show before, when I'm fun fishing, right? When there's no pressure of tournaments and points and pounds and TV, right? When I'm fun fishing, I can get there so much easier, right? I fish the moment so much better when I'm fun fishing. But a lot of times the tournament parameters, the tournament itself, takes me away from that place, you know. And if I could, for me, when I can get to the place where I feel like I'm fun fishing, right? I get there a lot easier than when I feel, trapped by the constraints of the tournament.
Yeah, it's like the classic versus an elite season.
Right. In a classic, right? I have my track record in classic's been great because I don't give a shit about points in the classic, right? You're just kind of fishing to win, and I don't know. I open up in the classics, and when I'm fun fishing, man, I can do it really easily. But then you get to a points event, right? And 6 hours go past, and you don't have a fishing boat. And then you start thinking, I can't zero, and you start thinking about points, and that I think takes you away from that ability to get to that place. It's interesting.
Yeah. I remember I fished with Larry Nixon up at Truman Lake in a Bassmaster Invitational years ago. And I was, in my 20s there when I drew him. And I wanted to learn as much as I could about Larry. And I said, Larry, what is the biggest key to being successful in these tournaments? Like, what do you think is the biggest secret? And he thought about it for a second. He goes, you just have to fish like you just don't give a crap how you're going to do in the tournament. He said, it's that simple. And it didn't really connect with me at the time, but the more that I realize that, it's like, just like what you said, when you go out and relax and you don't put pressure on yourself, you can make those decisions a lot clearer, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me remind everybody watching right now, you're listening to Randy Blockett. If you've got a question or a comment for Randy, please hit us up on the IM, and Riz will put the really, really good questions through.
Can I translate something for our younger audience that Randy just said? So Randy, Mike, and maybe Pete, they are exceptions to the rule of going out there and relaxing like it don't matter and succeeding. Please don't think as some young angler you can go out there and not care and think you're going to be cashing checks. All right, all right. I just want to get that out there.
You're taking the other side of it.
No, but what someone might not understand is, I'm just trying to have some fun with it. He's coming at it very scientific about getting all that out of your head. I don't know. I mean, how easy is that to do and actually be successful and make a living out of it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's tough. It's actually a great segue because, Randy, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this. We've got, Dave mentioned, we got so many listeners and viewers of the show that are watching. They're young and up and coming. They're in their 20s and 30s, and they say, man, this is something I want to do. It's something I want to pursue. And it's tough. It's a tough route. To me, the 80s and 90s, and Pete, we've mentioned this before, when I look at the history of bass fishing, that was the heyday. When I was fishing at the club level, watching the sport, it was the best I've ever seen it, right? That 80s to 90s, I think it was unbelievable. It was the heyday of the sport. Walk us through a little bit of that, Randy. It had to be an awesome time to be getting into pro fishing, right? What was it like? What was it like back then? What was it like when you were cutting your teeth, when you were getting into the sport? Talk to us about that.
Man, it was just a simpler world because there were not as many circuits, there was not as many tournament anglers, and life was just much simpler. I mean, back then the only thing you had was, when I started, they had Bassmaster Invitationals. They didn't even have the Pro-Ams or the Top 100s yet. I think they started like 2 years after I started in that. And then that was the days, like I said, of the old Bob Cobb and Ray Scott Bassmaster television show. That was sort of that was the beginning point of when you started to have a sort of a larger segment of the anglers to be able to make a living at it, because we're starting to get into it. They started to become a little bit more lucrative, particularly like when you hit like 1990. That's when you started having, your very first interest from the non-endemic companies started to came to, and it sort of built up for there. But like I said, that I was fortunate enough, because everybody's got their day in the sun in the sport, and my day in the sun was in the 90s. That's, it seems like to me, like when you're in your mid to late 30s, that's when you're at the top of your game. And then, before that and after that, you're just not quite there. I mean, you were the same way. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's just like a point where your intellect and your intuition mix together, and that allows you to do really good. And so for me, that was the period in there. And another thing about that is the big change for me sort of happened in the mid 90s, as far as when you talk about leaps in the sport. It's like when FLW got into the sport in the mid 90s, that is when we all saw, the big increase in the ability to really earn a lot of money in the sport.
Yeah.
And for me, the heydays, as far as being able to make a lot of money in the sport, was sort of that 1998 to 2002 period. That's when there was a lot of competition between the two circuits.
Yeah.
There was a lot of flown into the sport. There were a lot of non-endemic opportunities. And then, like I said, we've had a lot of changes since then. But overall, the 80s and the 90s, it was just a simpler, sort of just a simpler time.
Yeah.
That's what made it.
Great period. When I look back, that's what got me hooked in the sport. Riz, I know we've got some questions, comments coming through for Randy. What do we got coming?
That's right. Team No Fish wants to know, Randy, who was one of your initial fishing idols when you were first coming up?
You mean when I like when I was really young, or like when I was starting tournament fishing in bass? Or
sure, let's go with both.
Well, I think like a lot of people, Clun was one of my, people I really admired when I first got into the sport, simply because how successful he was. And I really liked the intensity he had. He was the first angler out there that was truly different. I mean, as far as your typical bass angler, because back when I got started back in the early 80s, that's back when the guys were still wearing jumpsuits. And,
hell yeah.
I mean, these were like good old boy bass fishing, it just wasn't the same. And Rick was sort of the first guy that came out there and showed us that, you don't have to really fit that mold, and you can think a little bit differently. So he was a big deal with me. And another one was like, Roland Martin, simply because back when I was in high school, he was such a dominating force. And I don't think a lot of people today realize what a dominating force Roland Martin was in the 70s and early 80s. Yeah. I mean, 9 of the year, I don't know how many tournaments he won, but it's so many top 10, top 5 finishes. But, just as far as an intense competitor, Roland was probably on the top of the list there.
Yeah. Riz, what else you got? You got more coming through?
And New York Chris wants to know, what's your favorite bait from the old days that you could bring back?
Oh, that's a good one.
Definitely be just a half-ounce jig with the #1 pork frog on it. #1 Uncle Josh pork frog.
Uncle Josh! Shout out to Uncle Josh.
I like it.
I don't know. My pork is not still available. I mean, even up until 15 years ago when I used my last jar of pork, I mean, I was still catching good ones on it. I mean, just a big old jig and pork with 30-pound test line was catch them.
So, Randy, what if I told you in my fishing laboratory I have probably upward of 30 bottles of pork that I've maintained over the years?
Wow!
I have
You've maintained it with the
I have the teeny ones. I have the next size up from the teeny. I got the 11s.
101.
I got the 11 with the squiggly legs, black and blue. I mean, I got a whole.
Do you know how much money you're sitting on eBay right now?
I don't know.
A lot.
$50.
More than $50.
Probably, a lot more. Right?
I'd say more than $50. Yeah. That's a hot eBay item.
Is it?
I got the number 11s, black char. I got a bunch of them.
Man,
I got the big. I have a big giant tote of them, like a big.
Oh, the big
came
jar.
in a big jar.
They're still in good shape?
Number 11s. Yeah, man, absolutely.
Huh.
Like they're a little crimped, like like they're folded and crimped. But you can uncrimp them.
Right.
Right.
That's amazing. Randy, I want to corner you on what you said, and you mentioned it about Rick, and for me, I think you had a lot of these characteristics, which was breaking the mold and being different. I get targeted a lot, from guys that say I ruined the sport. I destroyed the sport. And I'm okay with it, because I was just being me. But again, to get a little fanboyish, when I was coming up, I was looking at you and I'm like, this is me. Like, this is the guy that's me. Like, he's different. You had long hair. I had long hair at the time.
So you're saying that Randy ruined the sport before you did.
I'm not saying Randy ruined the sport. I'm saying you were one of the first guys, along with Rick. I think Rick would be in that category too. But you guys were breaking the mold. You weren't that stereotypical guy. And I was watching him like, holy shit. I'm like, this is who I want to be. Look at this guy. He's different. He's himself. I'm like, super cool. How did you deal with that pressure? Because I know you got a lot of that back then too. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I know you have felt the same thing, Mike, because anytime that you're different, I mean, you're going to get judged for it. And if you have an opinion one way or the other, there's going to be people that label you and try to, criticize you for just being different like that.
Yeah.
And for me, a lot of heat for that because, the approach that I had that was really strongly focused on the mental aspect of fishing back in the early 90s, and Rick took a lot of heat as well too, but it was sort of ahead of the time because a lot of people misunderstood it. And, it went against, a lot of people's belief systems had more traditional belief systems. And a lot of people would tend to judge you without knowing you, what type of person you are. And to me, that's just sort of part of the territory. When you try to be your own person and you try to be, sincere for who you are, I mean, you can't please everybody with it. And, it's just like with yourself. I mean, you've always had this persona of this super passionate, just controversial figure. But I mean, a lot of people that have never met you don't know how much of just a really laid back, cool guy you are in person. They just see a part of you and they form an image. And that's sort of what comes along anytime you're different. For me, like I said, I got that label back in the early 90s of sort of being way out there in left field. And that label was attached to me by people that didn't really know me as a person. They just thought they did, but they didn't.
Right. Yeah. Well, I can tell you that you were very, very instrumental to a lot of people getting them started in the sport. Big for a lot of us guys up here in the Northeast for sure. We always felt left out. We felt like, I don't know, before guys like you and before Kerschel, Brian made a breakthrough win at the Classic. I mean, we were left out, we were sort of left out. We had no one to look up to, so very inspirational to a lot of guys, but along with that, you being different, I think Bass, the tournament organizations were also leveraging that too, right? They were leveraging you being different, right, to help them get publicity, to help them try to grow their brand, with your brand. And I know you've been asked this many a times before, but we gotta ask it on Ike Live, and I want to get a little bit of the inside story. I've heard it told by you a few times, but I do want to hear a little bit of it or here on the show. People always still talk about your appearance in the Details magazine, the article, which was breakthrough, and people always, and I have it happen to me. They always want to reflect on the negative stuff. Oh, it's terrible. It's horrible for the sport. Oh my God, why'd he do that? And this, and I'm like, are you kidding me? They're talking about bass fishing in Details fucking magazine here. This is unbelievable, you know?
So what if he's naked?
Yeah, so what?
And there's a short window in your life that you can be naked
Right.
somewhere. So
I love being naked. I love being nude. So But to me, this was like an amazing thing, and I know you got a lot of criticism for that. But how did? Tell me a little bit. Like, was this a good thing for you in your career? Was it a bad thing? Do you regret doing it? Do you not regret doing it?
Well, that everybody, any tournament organization, bass and whatever, they sort of have people that sort of like poster children at different stages of your career.
Yeah.
And back in that, there was a little window there where I was sort of, I was doing really good in the tournaments, and I had the long hair, and I was young, and so I was sort of this poster child for bass for a short period of time. So Ann Lewis, who was the the media director for bass back then, she asked me to do this interview with Details magazine, which was for her to come to me, that was the big deal. And so we did the article, and a lot of it was centered on the mental aspect of fishing, and you probably remember that. But they sort of twisted the article into some confrontational deal between different camps, the way people thought in fishing, and that's not how they told us it was going to go down. It was.
You mean the media lied to you, dude?
Well, yeah, they sort of twisted this.
Wow, who knew?
They didn't. I mean, they didn't tell me what articles. So anyway, to get back to this infamous photo, what happened is after we, this article took place over like a 4-month period. They traveled with us, and after we did this, I got a call from this photography agency out of New York, and they wanted to do the photo shoot. So Ann set it up. They flew down to Lake Lanier in Georgia, and we did this 2-day photo shoot down there. And they said, okay, to cap this entire article off, you're talking about you being in tune with nature and one with nature and flowing with the environment. We want to get a silhouette shot of you in your boat with no clothes on, looking out at the distance. And they go, it's going to be a silhouette. It's going to be darkened out. Yeah. Nobody's going to bar. It's going to be super tasteful. And me being, 28 some years old or whatever it was at the time, I said, well, whatever, that sounds cool. And the next thing I know is I show up, and you can see my butt glowing in the daylight. I remember we were at a tournament. The next tournament was at Sam Rayburn Lake, and this thing came out. And it's like, I saw the article, and it's like, oh, man, this is not good. And all started immediately. It's like, Nina Wood at Ranger Boat basically saying, what were you thinking, Randy? And like I was catching some flack there, and Bass actually hired this retired lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. His expertise was basically, anytime like a celebrity had some type of scandal or something, and
he was a cleaner
to like clean up the problem. And Bass. So I had these conversations for a month about how to handle it in the press and all that type of stuff.
Oh my God!
And eventually, it blew over, and everybody took it, with in good humor. And of course, I got ribbed about it, forever. But but that was one of those things that it was sort of one of those deals. Like fishermen just don't do that. It's like you need to be straight laced. You need to think and act like this, and when you're outside of the box like that, it just doesn't work. But as it turned out, I didn't lose any sponsors over it. In fact, I got upgrades in a lot of my sponsorships, and I got some opportunities that would never have occurred.
I think it's great. I think it's great.
That's how it always works, though.
Yeah.
It's always how it works. Everyone, to everyone else, oh, this is so bad, so bad. And then they call you up, can we work with you?
Yeah.
Can we pay you more?
Yeah. Randy, I got a question. Like, when you look back at the different crossroads in your career, and we take the 28-year-old nude photo, like, do you wish that with your articulation and your charm and your naked, glorious body, maybe you started like a cult instead of bass fishing? Like, because we would have joined. We would have been.
We would have definitely like the nudist fishing cult.
No,
like, what do you?
I mean, he's got more charm than David Koresh, probably. You know what I mean? Like, he could have formed like a. I'm not talking about like a crazy. I'm talking about like a nice cult with adults in it. You know what I mean? Like
a nice cult.
I would make sure everybody has a job. Right?
I would have joined. I can tell you.
I would have been in it. I would have been for you.
During a damn cult that existed where the leader wasn't trying to bang everybody's wife.
That's not true.
Name one.
Colt 45.
Colt,
the beer. Blue Oyster Colt.
Exactly.
The band. I don't know.
Well, did the anglers take issue with it, Randy? Did you get any heat from, the anglers not, happy about you stepping out like that and getting all the attention and exposure? I know the sponsors and stuff, but what about the other anglers?
Nobody said anything to me personally about it. I'm sure they did, in private quite a bit like that, but didn't have anybody. Everybody was just like really, they just sort of laughed it off, and it turned out to be, everything was okay with it, but I didn't have any issues whatsoever with it.
Did the photographer have you like dropping lures and stuff and picking them up? Like
it was that.
Why do we have to go there?
I'm wondering.
That photo December at Lanier, and we were at the top 150 at that tournament. I remember it was like 37 degrees when I took that picture. So
of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I'm sure he wasn't like, "Hey, Randy, can you trim the motor?" The front one.
I swear it's cold out.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I don't care. I can tell you this. That was it was great. I think those kind of things grow the sport. Seriously, those kind of publications, that's what you need to get in front of people who don't fish.
36 degrees ain't growing the sport.
Well, that's not growing, but the magazine's growing the sport.
Dave's Pork says that Byron Velvick was probably jealous at that moment.
Byron Velvick was jealous, definitely. And I want to tell you, Becky knows this for a fact. My 3 favorite magazines I like to take on a plane. I'll take a fishing magazine. Usually you can get In Fisherman or something like that at the newsstand. GQ, and Details. I love that magazine, so it's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, that's a great magazine,
True
dude.
story.
It's high men's fashion magazine. It's great.
Okay.
It's an awesome magazine. I love it. Randy, we're going to take a break. Can you hang there with us for a couple minutes? I got a couple other things I want to talk about.
Yeah, same here.
Can you hang in there with us for a little bit? Okay. All right. Listen, you're watching Ike Live. We've got Mr. Randy Blockett on. Hang in there with us. We're going to take a little break, Brian the Carpenter.
Yes.
When we come back, we've got more Ike Live.
All right. 4.5-inch drop shot worm, Bama bug. Finesse jig, PB&J. Give me something hard. Hey, KVD here. Now, I didn't always know this much about fishing. 4-aught EWG worm hook. In fact, there was a time when I couldn't tell the difference between a jerkbait and a stickbait. But then I signed up for Mystery Tackle Box, the original monthly tackle subscription. And now I know more about fishing than I do about calculus.
And he knows a lot about calculus.
Plus, I get amazing extras like free fishing magazines. October 2016, featured article, 4 places to throw a frog. Exclusive decals, zombie bass. And how-to videos for all the great baits I receive. How to tune a crankbait. Is that underwater footage I smell?
I got goosebumps.
So if you're looking to develop enhanced fishing abilities like me, or you just like getting new tackle every month, go to mysterytacklebox.com and get your box today. Ooh, live minnows. Is it lunchtime already? Nature's candy. Oh. Is he in my pocket?
There's a special place in our hearts for the tools of the trade. They're what we prep for a good day on the water. They're what we clean after a good day in the field. Flambeau's patented Z-Rust technology protects the gear of today from rust and corrosion. Z-Rust for the performance of tomorrow. Preserve, perform, repeat.
You work hard to catch your fish. TH Marine has 2 products to ensure your fish survive. The Oxygenator injects 100% pure oxygen into your live well. That increases fish survival by 35%. For the perfect combo, add G-Juice live well treatment. It calms fish, stops bleeding, removes ammonia, and replaces slime coat. Get an Oxygenator and G-Juice and keep your fish alive.
Here we go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Ike Live. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I know we are. We've got Mr. Randy Blockett on the phone right now. Amazing guest. Tour veteran talking about the history of the sport. We're going to switch gears here in a second and talk about the sport now, today. Let me remind you, if you're watching over on Facebook, take a second, please like and share the feed. If you do that, you're going to be entered into a contest to win the world-famous Ike Live gift bag. Also, we want to hear from you. Please, if you have questions, comments, hit us up on the IM. Riz is going to put them through. Also, if you're watching over on social media, you can ask your questions through Ike Live Show, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.
Mike.
Yes.
One thing on the like and share.
Yes.
Guys, so right now we're at 37 shares. If we can hit 50 shares before the end of this segment,
Rich will do 50 push-ups.
We're gonna swap the Ike Live hat out, and we're gonna put in one that's signed by you.
Oh,
so there's a little motivation, guys.
Little motivation
all
to
right,
get up to 50.
let's get those like and shares out there.
Yeah.
If you haven't done it yet, please like and share tonight's feed. Get yourself a chance to win the bag with a signed hat.
Okay. All right, Randy. Thanks for joining us again. I can't tell you, it's such an honor to have you on the show. I want to switch gears and talk about some of the stuff going on now. Before we do that, Dave, what do you got? I know you got something.
Yeah, Randy, I want to show you something. I want to see if you recognize this. Stand by.
This is awesome. This is like a show and tell segment of Ike Live right here going on. All right, here they go. This is awesome. Dave's got pork from the 80s, and he's got other stuff. He's like a hoarder.
This is like a secret.
All right.
Only Randy can see.
Oh man, the Blockett's creature.
Yeah! Yes.
That's old school stuff right there, man.
Dude,
now you got to show the regular camera.
You got to show the regular camera too. Yeah, Randy. So this is another bait that a lot of guys up here in this part of the world, we loved it. We loved the bait. It was, when I think back, there weren't a lot of big profile, big action plastics at the time, you know? Was it fun getting to design stuff like this?
Oh, yeah, that thing was probably over 30 years old, I'm guessing.
Yeah, these are at least 25, 26 years old. I got about 30 of them altogether, not used.
That was back when I was with Lucky Strike. You know, that was back when Guido Hibden, Dion Hibden, Hun was with them at the time. And, we got to design some really cool stuff there. It's just down the road from where I live in Cassville, Missouri down there.
Yeah, there really weren't any big, heavy creature baits back then. Now, I brought them just so I can give him the mic so that maybe the next time you see him doing well, Berkeley has a prototype, you know, and maybe we can get these things back into circulation. I have the grasshopper color, I have straight back, and I have black, blue flag.
Grasshopper was a great color.
Yeah.
I love that color. Yeah, you're going to see it by Berkeley. It's going to come out at next ICAST called Ike's Creature.
I was thinking maybe you call it like a blockade creature. You know, like chicken croquet. It's not croquette, blockette, croquet. I don't know, man.
It's a good idea.
It's whiskey time.
It's not a bad idea.
It's already started.
I know, it's already started. The tin cup,
we went
the tin
French.
cup is
These
flowing.
are for you, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
I'm serious about the prototype. Yeah.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
No
Thank
joke.
you.
The tin cup rise.
I appreciate that.
Is it?
On fleek.
Yeah, tin cup is good. We're drinking. By the way, if you're watching tonight, we are drinking the tin cup rye tonight. We're drinking it straight. We have some on the rocks. It's amazing. I invite you to try it.
It's a beautiful thing.
We're going to do a little quick toast with it, or what are we doing?
Yeah, we can do a toast.
Go
Randy, I want to change gears a little bit and talk about the sport today. You know, the present state of the sport. You know, again, I look at the sport. I look at the 80s and 90s. You know, you said even into the late 90s, early 2000s as the heyday of the sport. Give us your opinion on the state of the sport here in 2020.
Like your straight up opinion.
Straight up opinion. And I know that's another thing. I want to mention this real quick, too. I so respect, Randy, there's so many guys in the sport that don't speak their mind. And you do. And I appreciate that so much. We try to do that here on Ike Live as well. And sometimes we get a lot of criticism for it. I know you do. But give us your opinion of the state of the sport in 2020. More tournament organizations than ever. We got BASS, we got MLF, we got FLW, we got LMFAO, MPLAF,
National Public Radio.
National Public Radio. We got
NPFL.
NPFL.
PFL.
Yeah. give us your opinion.
Well, that we could talk all
no.
out there, but it's sort of like for guys like myself that have been around it in a long time, sometimes we are resistant to change, and you simply cannot be like that because the sport right now is changing and morphing so quick before our very eyes that it's almost it's not even recognizable. At first, what happened when I started noticing these big changes like 5 or 6 years ago, as far as more tournament organizations, more anglers, I was sort of resistant to that because basically what happened is it made it really hard not only to compete and be consistent, but to stand out performance-wise and promotional-wise.
Yeah.
And to me, one of the things, the biggest challenges that we have in the sport right now is it's not like it was back even like when you started out, Mike. It's like if you got hot and you did well in tournaments, you immediately got propelled to the sort of the forefront of attention. It's not like that right now because there's so many anglers, so many circuits that everybody gets watered down, even if they do good in the tournament. One of the things that I do like about it, though, and the thing that really gets me optimistic is the fact that with the advent of social media, that's creating some avenues for people to get into the sport and make a living at it that never would have a chance. And for example, I'm working full time with Johnny Schultz and Fish the Moment on his teaching YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And Johnny is he's like a 25-year-old bass fishing savant. He doesn't fish tournaments, but his skill level in fishing is like completely off the charts. And he's been able to parlay that into a social media career and make a career through his avenues on Fish the Moment. And 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that wouldn't even have been possible. And from what we're seeing right now is from a marketing and a sponsor standpoint, the performance that you have in tournaments is secondary to your social media presence. And that's the biggest things that I see in 2020. It's like, and I've heard some of my sponsors say the same thing. It's like, we don't really care how you do in a tournament. As long as you're generating impressions through social media or your other promotional avenues, that's all it amounts to. Whatever that takes or whatever place that takes, that's what we want. And that, I don't think that can be understated about how big of a metamorphosis that is in our sport. Because, back when you won the Classic for the first time, down in Louisiana, that it was all about performance. It was all about marketing yourself through your performance because we didn't have the social media avenues that we have right now.
Yeah.
And so right now, the state of the sport where it's at, there's two different things. I really like the direction it is as far as opening it up with social media, getting more people involved to be able to make a living in the sport. But at the same time, on the performance side of it, I don't like where we're headed as far as this. And I talk about it if you've seen some of my YouTube stuff, social media. I don't like the unlevel playing field that's being created from the financial separation that exists among anglers in the sport, because there's an element about that, and it's a combination of whether it be boats, motors, electronic technology, entry fees, everything combined. It creates an unlevel playing field where one angler, you take two anglers that have the same skill set, and one of them is simply going to be successful simply because they have the financial resources to get to that point.
Yeah.
And back in 1985, it wasn't like that. I was washing cars and I was mowing lawns, and I was still able to fish the Bassmaster tournament circuit. I couldn't do that right now. If I wanted to be a professional angler in 2020 and get into the sport at the top level like I did back in 1986, I simply could not do it because I didn't have the financial resources. And that to me is the biggest downside I see in the sport, is just the ballooning cost of keeping up with expanding technology.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it a lot, in some of my social media stuff. And I'm not against technology at all. Like I said, I've learned so much from being around and fishing with Johnny Schultz, who's like an expert at offshore fishing and electronic technology. It's not that. What I want to do is, keep moving forward with technology, keep developing it, But at some point, we have to get to a point in the sport where you say, we have got to level this playing field, and enough's enough, and you can only go so far with the cost of it.
Yeah.
And let's where everybody's on the same field.
Yeah, I agree. We've brought that up a lot of times on this show. What do we need to do to get there, Randy? How do we change the sport so that it levels that playing field? How do we change the sport so that a young kid coming up with skill and talent and promotional skills, he's the best in the game? How can he get there if he doesn't meet that criteria? If he doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the boat, the live sight, live scope, live down, live back. What if he doesn't have all that? How can he get there? How can we change that?
I think a lot of it, that's the responsibility of the tournament organizations to sort of create that level playing field. And, whether that comes from an equipment standpoint or an entry fee standpoint, that's something, that's a discussion that would have to be made on its own. But as long as you have tournament organizations that keep perpetuating these expanding entry fees and no limits on, the type of equipment that you can have, every time that happens, there's a separation as far as the sport gradually becomes a little bit more of an elitist sport at that point. And I think that what happens is it's the tournament organizations just have to just step in and say, hey, we have got to set some type of limitations here where, we just don't price ourselves out of the game. We're some kid that has, a mom and dad that just have modest incomes and they don't have, a lot of money, that, some kids' dreams aren't going to be crushed simply because he can't afford $40,000 a year in entry fees and a $80,000 boat to compete on the level with other anglers.
Yeah, it's the one problem we have with our sport. When you look at other professional sports, we've talked about this on the show, is that there's not that natural progression like you see in other professional sports, right? If you're a baseball player or football player, you work up through grade school and high school and college through skill to get to the top level. And there's an interruption in our sport.
There used to be more of that grassroots ability, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Football pads don't cost $40,000.
When you came up, Mike, you got to where you are through the federation.
When I was young, the federation program was a lot stronger. The grassroots level through the Bass Federation was stronger. But there was no high school and college program. So, that's sort of balanced that out a little bit. But there's still an interruption,
So we have two things going on here.
Yeah.
What you guys are talking about is how egregiously expensive it is to compete in tournaments, right? To be a tournament angler with the boat, the truck, the electronics, and I think we can have a conversation about the electronics deal because I think that's the new one, And talking to Pete, Pete, let me bring you in. Talking to Pete the other day, he brought up the fact that hey, remember they used to be capped at 150s, 150 horse outboards.
Yeah.
And now, and then that changed and it went to 250 right. So the price went up and, the game continued to change there. But as far as people being able to make a living in the sport that may not come from means, we already talked about it. It's YouTube.
It is YouTube.
They don't have a bass boat. They're walking the banks. They got a chesty on.
The Googans are a great example of that. The Googans are making more money than probably the top 10% of professional bass anglers that have busted their ass in tournaments.
And they have modest boats.
And I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well, they didn't have boats when they started.
I'm just saying now that they're modest boats now, they're not. They can afford what the top. They have modest boats.
But from a level of a sport, they're not competing, right?
No, but they're making a living in fishing.
But they're not competing.
That's where the line gets drawn is, do you just want to make a living in fishing? Do you want to just have your face all over YouTube and all in social media? Or do you want to compete?
Right.
Do you have that natural desire to win there's a DNA difference there.
Well, let me weigh in.
Go ahead, Pete.
Let me weigh in here a little bit because you're right, Brian and Randy. Now, you're right. It's getting out of control, but it's nothing new.
Right.
Like when we started fishing, it was 150 horsepower restriction. We had modest sonar units. It was still tough. it was still tough to buy those boats. And I remember I started out on tour. I was out on tour with like a 6-year-old truck and a used Nitro at the time. And, you know, that's what I competed with out on the top 100 tour my first year, and scrambled everything I could get together, you know, maxed out my credit cards to get out on tour. And that was my situation. You know, I didn't come from means. So I just, you know, that's how I had to do it. And then, you know, they unlimited the horsepower. So now your boat price just got jacked, to be able to be competitive. And then the entry fees went up. So this process has continued. And when they switched to the elite, Mike, do you remember the entry fees? I think it was like $1,500, or maybe you remember, Randy, for the tour of events.
1,500 started them.
Yeah. And then the elites came out, and it was what, $5,000 per tournament?
Yeah.
$5,000 per tournament. And I remember at that time just being furious. Like, no, absolutely not. How can they be asking us for more money when I want them to, you know, we've already qualified and proved ourselves. We should be getting no entry fees.
Yeah.
You know, we should be moving in that direction. And I was so pissed at all the guys for ponying up $5,000 per entry fee at that time.
Well, that was a time when a lot of the guys made the move. That was a big breakaway from Bass to FLW.
Right, and I was one of those guys.
Yeah.
I went over to FLW because I was gonna, you know. Here's the deal, and Randy, I love your YouTube stuff, by the way. I'm watching your YouTube stuff, and it's like it resonates with me, and I've been down that road, you know, same with you. But the pressures, the financial pressures that this sport applies to anglers and their families is just insurmountable in trying to compete. And you know, I've been out there in those tournaments where if I don't catch a fish, I don't get to pay my mortgage, you know, that month. And that inhibits your ability to get in the zone.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, the suicide zone.
You know,
but
so when
to Pete's
elite,
point, yeah. I mean, I agree with you, Pete. I think we just haven't created that structure. Has never in all these years. It's 2020, and there still isn't that proper leveling structure to make your way to the top. At which point, you shouldn't have to worry about these financial burdens.
Right.
Like if you make it to the top, why do you have to take on the burden of the $50,000 entry fees?
Right.
Why?
Right. As a reward for qualifying for the top level, you get $100,000 bill in today's tournament trail.
Yeah.
That's your reward.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get $100,000 contract; you get $100,000 bill.
Right. Well, let me ask some direct questions for you, Randy. Are there too many tournament organizations?
Yes, I think there are. I mean, they just. I've lost count of all of them. Not only the tour level, but the AAA level tournaments as well. I mean, but you know, here's the thing about it: if they're filling the tournaments up, you know, it's like, you know, and it's a business for them. You know, what are they going to do? Just not have the tournaments? But for me, and the reason I say that is coming from, you know, more of the old school like that. It's just like it's sort of taken some of the magic away from the sport a little bit. It's just some of the things that made it, like we were talking about in the early 90s. It's like that's all gone. You don't have that warm, fuzzy feeling when you turn the shows on anymore. So it's like, but like I said, it's just, it's constantly changing. I mean, it's changing with the industry and with the demand of the anglers. But the big thing that I've noticed on this, sort of to that point, is that back when I started out, when I was in my early 20s, you know, we had junky trucks. We had, like Pete was saying, we had junky boats. We slept 3 or 4 guys on a rat-infested motel, you know, go to the tournaments. And now I see these 20-year-old kids coming out there. They've got brand new jacked up Chevrolet trucks. They got a brand new boat. They're putting down $50,000 on entry fees. It's like, you know, where's this coming from?
Trust fund babies, just spoiled brats.
I mean, to me, that is like the most. I don't know. It's like the biggest change that I've seen in the sport, and to me, I look back for somebody like myself, some kid from Southwest Missouri that just loves to bass fish and didn't come for money. I mean, I know there's kids out there like myself today, and it sort of makes me feel sorry for them.
Yeah. Let me hit you with another question. Is MLF, has it been a good thing or a bad thing for the sport? Different format, different philosophies. Has it been good or bad for the sport?
I'll be honest about MLF, Mike, with you on there. And here's my opinion on the MLF. It's like my whole beef with MLF was the qualification criteria of how they selected the initial field.
Yeah.
Zero transparency, no qualification. If you wanted to compare social media following, performance, the amount of impressions people reach, and then you wanted to generate those 80 guys, that was not a fair format for that. And for me as a competitive angler and a lot of other anglers in that same format, that was the big problem I had with that. That being said, as far as the MLF format and everything, I don't have any problem with the format. I mean, the format to me is irrelevant to the fact that you're out there competing, and it's an interesting format. It throws a mix into the sport that gives it a fresh look.
Yeah.
But I just got a real bitter taste in my mouth about how the qualification went down on that.
Yeah. Yeah. As did a lot of people.
Boys Club.
Yeah. Same thing with sponsorship. And you've gone on and said that sponsorship is not fair, and I agree. The way that sponsorship is disseminated is not based on qualification.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not. There's a lot of injustices in the sport, but it's just sort of like that's the way life isn't in general. I mean, sponsorships, there's a lot of the whole key in sponsorships, and you guys, Pete and Mike, you guys have done this long enough to know a lot of it is just based upon the personal relationships you develop with people. And for some people, you just simply get along with people better, and some people you just don't click with them. And it's sort of the same with sponsorships. I mean, I pursued companies that I thought was a really good fit, and there was some type of an energetical difference between me and the company that never worked out. And I've had other companies where I didn't feel it was that great of a fit, but everything worked out perfect because there was that alignment personality-wise. So, that's just the way it's sort of always been with that. But in a perfect world, every sponsorship that was available would have an interviewing process where you went in and you interviewed for the position, and the most qualified individuals got those spots.
Yeah.
Randy, who Kay Elliott on the message board wants to know, who was your first sponsor?
My first sponsor was Ranger Boats. I after qualified for the All-American back in 1985, and I got a call from Forrest and Nina Wood to want to know if I wanted to be part of Ranger sponsor.
That's awesome.
Like they were both on the phone and called you?
Well, they were in the office, and Nina Wood called me, and she was in the office with Forrest, and invited me to be on the team there. And then my second big sponsor was Megabass in 1992, and since I've been with ever since.
85 was a great year.
The Bears.
No, I mean, the Bears dominated people. I mean, Crockett was by Tubbs' bedside in the hospital when he got shot on that one raid. Like, dude, like Miami Vice. Like, it was on. I don't know, man. It's a very memorable year for me.
Vice. Wasn't good.
You actually brought a Miami Vice reference into this interview.
I just wanted to bring Tubbs into it. That's all, man.
Mike, remember Miami Spice?
Miami Spice. Yeah, the porno version of Miami Vice. I remember that.
I'll have to look that up later.
You brought something up, Randy. I want to talk a little bit more about it, which is why, after all these years, okay, you've been in it since the 80s, here we are, 2020, why haven't the anglers themselves been able to organize better? Because I think a lot of this, I know I bring it up every show, but I want to know. I want to hear from Randy. I think a lot of this is brought upon ourselves. Why haven't we organized? Why haven't we created standards as a group of professional athletes ourselves? Why haven't we been unable to do that for 30 or 40 years?
Well, we tried back in the early 90s. I remember we were at the Bassmasters Classic. I think it was the one Robert Hamilton won at Logan Martin, and that's back when the PAA was just getting started. And basically everybody was fed up, and we came up with a list of demands that we wanted in this particular tournament to move forward as an organization. And we presented that to Ray Scott at the time, and he just flipped the lid. He just said, hey, if you guys don't want to fish, that's fine. He goes, I'll have 30 other guys here tomorrow morning that want to fish this. You guys want to be like. So this has been going on a long time. And I think what happens is the biggest reason that anglers have not organized is the fact there's two different things. Number one, they got lives they got to lead. They're too busy. They don't have time or energy to put into what it takes to do that. And number two is some anglers they're reluctant to lose their piece of the pie they have, and they figure it's limb that they're going to create a situation where they lose some sponsors, they alienate some fans or sponsors, and it won't go well for them. But I think a lot of it is a combination of apathy and maybe fear a little bit.
Yeah.
And what has happened, there's never been one person that has emerged in this industry that has been able to completely organize that. I always felt that there would be somebody out there in this sport that was passionate about the sport and loved tournament fishing and had a huge financial empire behind themselves. And they're basically going to say, okay, we're going to change this. We're going to change the sport for good.
Yeah.
I'm a bunch of money at it. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to have everything based upon integrity and honesty and doing the right thing for the anglers. Nobody has emerged in the sport as that type of leader yet.
I think the reason, Randy, is that you guys as a whole aren't willing to walk. That's it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. There's no
that
fear.
It's that fear. Just like Ray Scott said years ago, I can replace you all in 30 minutes.
So Mike, you're asking why. That's why,
people
Mike.
haven't tried.
To this day, it's the same thing. There's somebody lined up. There's always somebody lined up to take your spot.
But I'm just saying that's it in a nutshell, Mike, why you can. If you guys aren't willing to walk as a collective, then it's not going to happen.
There's no collective.
But that's the missing piece. That's the missing piece, because if we could ever get to that point, and I would love to see it in my lifetime, I think we could get to the next level. I think you could create standards. You could have all those things that we need.
I think it's right where it's supposed to be.
You think so?
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't know if any of this is really happening. This has been the weirdest year ever.
Right.
So
it has been weird.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like, whatever, dude.
Like we're not here right now, or like
this whole freaking thing. This 2020 is so full of shit.
Brian,
none of this is even happening. Randy Blockett, he's not even there.
Yo, I
hope that's really Randy.
Listen, Randy, listen. I saw the best 2020 T-shirt. It was the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and the scientist was like, "Marty, whatever you do, don't go to 2020." It was amazing, dude.
That's a great shirt.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to go back to when you were sinking that boat. I want to be in your Ranger when you were sinking it at Bugs Island.
Dude, I remember that,
That's where I want to be.
Bros, I remember me and you at the floodgates.
Yes, we did it.
Yeah.
Because of Randy.
Because of Randy Blockett.
I want to be there.
To get under that train.
Hell yeah.
We got my nitro under the trestle with Randy Blockett's techniques of
flooding
the boat.
Yeah. I want to do that. That's where I want to be.
Took the windshield off, flooded the boat.
Hell yeah. I want to be flipping that shit way behind the trees.
That's it.
Freaking hauling 4 pound. That's where I want to be.
Randy, you know what I learned from you about 15 years ago up on Champlain? You were fishing bedded fish in super heavy winds with a spinning rod with 6 pound line, throwing the jerkbait on 6 pound line. I never would have done that until you did that at that event. That was pretty rad, dude. It was the only way to control the bait in that wind because it was howling.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Let me remind you, you're watching Ike Live. We've got a little bit more time. Randy, if you've got a question or comment, hit up Riz on the IMs, and we'll get them through to Randy. Randy, I want to talk about, you've got some really cool stuff going on right now. I want to change the course a little bit and start talking about some of that. You are an amazing instructor. You've got some great instructional stuff. You've got a great YouTube channel going on that I'm getting addicted to the more I watch it. Talk a little bit about that for guys watching right now if they want to tune into some stuff you're doing. What do you got going on right now?
Well, the biggest thing I got going on right now, and it's the most exciting thing that I've done forever, is I've partnered with Johnny Schultz and his Fish the Moment website and our Fish the Moment YouTube channel. And I met Johnny when he was 8 years old. Him and his dad used to come to the tournaments, and I've known him since he's a little kid. And I had a guide trip at Table Rock this past March, and he was just down there filming a show. We happened to hook up and reconnect, and he basically invited for me to partner with him on Fish the Moment, which is an instructional fishing YouTube channel. And Johnny and I are filming 2 or 3 shows a week. We're doing podcasts. We're doing lake map breakdowns. We got a lot of different stuff we're doing on Fish the Moment. And it's a full-time gig for me in between the tournaments now. We're putting a lot of energy and emphasis into the content. It's all about teaching and giving back to it. And, that's the thing about it, man. I'm 58 years old now. It's like I'm sort of at that stage in my career where it feels good to give back and it feels good to teach.
Yeah.
And an opportunity to do that with Johnny and watching his expertise and what he does, it's been really great right now. And on top of that, I've been, doing my own YouTube channel, which is I'm 101 low tech. I don't know how to edit. I don't those are graphic overlays. I just get on there and talk, and it seems to be going pretty well. It seems like people just like to, hearing the old stories and, a little bit of an unfiltered viewpoint of this sport.
I like it. I like that raw feel on stuff better.
And his delivery's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like when David Attenborough dies, Randy, you ought to put a resume in over there and narrate that stuff. I'd listen. That's awesome. Hey, Randy, I got a question. Earlier you mentioned twice, like First Nations and American indigenous peoples. Do you read a lot of that, or because you mentioned it twice earlier? I'm just curious because I'm a study of it myself.
Yeah, I not only read a lot, but like I said, I've done a lot of wilderness survival schools that were based upon the Native American survival skills. And I'm not talking about military. I'm talking about the ancient Native Americans, the way they lived thousands of years ago with the stone tools, nothing man-made, that type of deal. And that's the thing that I've been involved with a long time. Not as much in the recent years, but there was a period, back in the 90s where I was super, super heavily involved with that. And same period, Rick Clunn, Gary Klein, Brent Chapman, we all went to the same school at same wilderness survival schools, in the Pine Barrens there.
Now,
the Pine Barrens.
Did you notice?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you notice, as I have, that no matter which tribe you were looking into, whether it was the Blackfoot or the Apache or the Navajo, that they referenced a creature similar to Sasquatch? Did you notice that like I did?
Did they?
Randy, let Randy answer. Let our esteemed guest answer.
What? That's not true.
Let our esteemed guest answer. Randy, tell him.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that earlier.
Hold on. You didn't read any of the references that they had of keepers of the forest. Nothing like that, huh? I'm the only one.
No, I must have missed that.
He's just still in the closet. I mean, you stood on the front of a boat naked. You shouldn't be out.
There it goes. That's a Bros maneuver right there.
Right there. I'm going to cut you down for being naked because you won't talk about my Sasquatch.
You didn't agree with me, so don't put a jugular.
All right, I've got. I'm looking at social media here.
That was a really good full circle, though. I'm proud of the attempt.
No, I tried. It's 50-50. Listen, there's a lot of references to that. He might not have read that. That's all.
All right, Randy, I've got a question coming through on Instagram from Philly Fishing, and he wants you to grade each of the tournament organizations from an A through an F. And we're going to start with Bass Anglers Sportsman Society. Give it a grade.
Oh man, okay, I'll start out with Bass. I give Bass an A minus, and what they're doing right now.
Okay, A minus. That's a good grade. Okay,
good grade. Real
solid.
MLF, Major League Fishing.
I think that I'd probably give Major League Fishing. I'm going to give them a C, probably.
Yeah.
He's trying to get a job. Look at that smile.
No, I think that's accurate. I think that's an accurate grade. FLW, Fishing League Worldwide.
I'm going to give them a D right now. I am not at FLW at all the last 5 years. I mean, I think they undermined. I think they snatched defeat out of the hands of victory just upon situations they made. So they get it right now.
Yeah. Okay. And last but not least, NPFL, National Pro Fishing League.
That's it.
You know, I don't really know much about them to even grade them, but as far as I give them a B for just their initiative. I mean, to be able to step in right now, to be able to step in the competition that they're up against, that's pretty impressive. And I don't have anything bad to say about them. I think everybody's waiting to sort of see how it's going to unfold.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yes.
Well done.
Nice grade work.
Great question.
That was a great question.
Randy, what are your thoughts on co-anglers? I watched one of your videos today, one of Randy's rants while you're driving your truck.
He hates them. I'll say it for
you. No, I don't have anything against the people that fish co-angler at all. That's not it. But, you know, the co-angler system, I'm not talking about the people, because the people are just like anyone else. They're great. Yeah. But the angler system has no place in competitive fishing, because it directly influences the outcome of the event.
Yeah.
And people like you, I mean, you guys that fish with you know what I'm talking about. I guarantee both you guys can give me stories just like I did today about co-anglers that cost you fish at some points based upon just getting you out of the flow or maybe picking off here or there.
Yeah.
But everything needs to be a straight observer system in the pro-am format. That's the only fair way to allow you to maximize your day on the water, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's also a positive influence. I won on Champlain due to a positive influence from a co-angler coming up with a bait choice that helped me solve my problem on day one in that tournament. And so that that gave me an advantage for sure. So there's a positive and negative influence there.
Yeah,
for sure. Let me ask you this, Randy. I want to know what you think of this too, Mike, because this has come up a lot with the people that I fished with recently and talked to. Is there's a big call for a national team tournament trail?
Yeah,
people love that. Like you said, Randy, there's a natural kind of a conflict between pro and co-angler, right? They're in their tournament, I'm in mine. Their fish hurt me and mine hurt them. But as a team tournament, there's like this enthusiasm, this this sync that goes on between the two guys. They're trying to compete together for the same cause, and people want a big time, big money team tournament trail. What are your thoughts on that?
Do you mean a team tournament like the U.S. Open?
Like
the U.S. Open where you're randomly paired with an amateur?
Nah.
Buddy tournament.
No. Like you pick your partner and you go against the other partners, the other teams in the country.
As long as there's cameras, man. Otherwise, it's going to be a cheat fest.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that side of it, is keeping everything on the up and up. That would be the biggest concern, Yeah,
it's got to be cameras like there is now, or else otherwise it's a cheat fest and guys are going to be getting arrested.
Right.
Well, Mike, you fished a couple of those Toyota Bass Classics we did down there at Lake Fork when we teamed up as teams. I mean, I thought that was cool the way we did that. We had 4-man teams, remember?
Yeah.
And I loved that. That was sort of a cool format. But I think that, and I also think a senior circuit would be great, a senior professional circuit.
Yep, I hope it comes sooner than later because I'm retiring in a few years.
Randy, you really just hit the nail right on the head there. The ethnic Smurf on the message board asked seconds before you said that, will there ever be a seniors bass fishing league?
Wow.
How do you guys see that coming together? Could that be a legit thing like there is in golf? There's the senior league in golf.
I think it's got legs. I've heard talks of it before. I think it would be cool.
Ben Gay, Tiger Palm, Advil,
Absolutely.
Motrin, all the sponsors, all the non-endemics that you guys like.
But can we do the senior tournament
CBD.
as a team tournament? Because who doesn't want to see like Denny Brower on a boat with Tommy Biffle?
That's
or
what I want to say. I want to
honestly,
I want to see the interaction. I want the those events where the two pros in the same boat, because as a fan, as a viewer, I don't care about what you guys have to deal with on the water. I want to see that conflict. I want to see that interaction. I want to see you
Yeah.
guys fight over who
see-
gets the spots and who's got 4 hours and where you're running.
I want to see
that
this-
makes
yeah.
for good
It does.
good television.
Yeah.
How about
I
the
wanna see
senior league?
somebody
Though?
say-
Sorry, this is good. How about the senior league? An old guy paired with like one of the 9 million bikini YouTube fisherman chicks out there.
Oh yeah,
and they're in their YouTube.
What do you want him to keel over and die? Like, come
no,
on.
just
like,
to watch it. Just I don't know. Just to hear the things they're saying. You know,
that sounds god awful, Dave. That
No,
was
it
the worst
doesn't.
idea you've ever had.
Hold on now. That's Brian. Is that a horrible idea? Old guy with a young bikini chick.
Not
in
the
full
worst
regalia?
idea you ever had. That's a bad one. That's not the worst one.
It's not a
Becky,
great
I
idea.
disagree. It wasn't the worst one.
Why? Why did the only women who get brought into the sport have to be some bikini bitches who can't even catch fish?
Well, because
They
we're
just-
talking
they
about the
just
old
got-
guys, so why don't we make a balance?
Well, why? Why'd we have to go there?
Well, why? They're doing it.
It's the yin and yang.
Why are you yelling at me? They do it. They're the ones doing
Well,
that.
as the only woman here, thank God I'm here to police you.
But no one's walking them off. No one's walking them off the plank to go fish in the bikini. They're doing that with millions of views. They're doing that. No one's making
They
them do
are,
that.
but why would we have to bring them into the legitimacy of how fun it would be to see these old
The
guys?
same reason we're going
like,
to watch a bunch of old fuddy-duddies not say anything and just sit there with the camera staring at their
You think
at their,
they're going to say nothing?
at their
You think if you
assless-
put Denny Brower on the same
At
boat
their
as Rick
assless
Club, they
khakis.
wouldn't be going at each other?
Yeah, you should
slunched
have let me.
over back, assless khakis.
I'm sorry, Randy.
Assless khakis. Assless khakis.
Why did it be assless khakis?
Never heard of assless khakis.
What are assless khakis?
Because you lose your
Oh,
butt when you get older.
it gets flat.
He just becomes a back with a crack in it.
That's it, and your pants fall off.
Sorry, Randy Blockett. This doesn't usually happen till our esteemed guests get off the line. Making you sit here.
We jumped the gun. The tin cup.
It's the tin. It's
the
tin
second
cup.
show in a row, Dave.
This is the only thing that comes to mind every time I have some tin cup, and it really is like the one thing, and it's this. You ready?
Yeah.
Oh boy, here we go.
What is this?
Red Fox.
Oh, Red Fox. Oh, Red
Swallow
Fox
it
is
and
great.
shut the fuck up.
I love Red Fox.
I'm sorry, Randy. We went downhill. We argued.
Riz, what else we got? We're gonna let Randy go.
Yeah,
What
we're
else? We got
sorry,
we got anything else coming through for Randy?
Final question for you, Randy, from Frankie, and he wants to know: is tournament fishing for you as fun as it was when you started today?
Oh, great question.
Love that question.
You know, it's fun, but it's also there's more complicated because, you know, as you get older and you get a family, you know, like I said, you have those distractions that come with life that allow you not to have that same type of a focus. So it's different, but it's also great because I still get out there. I mean, we just got done with our Bass Open at Rayburn this couple days ago. And the intensity that I feel on the water during the competition when you put that hammer down, it's the same as it was 30 years ago. I mean, to me, there's nothing that makes me feel more alive when you're doing well in the tournament and you're in the hunt and you know that you're going to have a good finish, even if you don't catch another fish. To me, that's what makes me feel more alive than anything. So it's still today just as powerful as it ever was.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that too. What's next for you, Randy? What do you see in the next couple of years? What do you got going on?
Well, like I said, I'm going to be working heavily with Fish the Moment, Johnny Schultz. Like I said, I'm fishing the Bassmaster Opens now. I'm in 5th place in the points. So if I make the elite, back in the elites next year. But the main thing is just really pushing forward with this, the teaching YouTube stuff we're doing with Johnny and on my own, and just sort of filling in with the tournaments in between, and just, you know, raising the family. Like I said, I'm married and got 4 kids we're taking care of. So you guys know how that full-time job just to do that.
Oh yeah. Well, Randy, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. Yeah. Honestly, you have been an inspiration, not just to me, but for so many people. The angler I am today is a lot from watching you, and I from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate what you do. So
pantsless.
Much. Yes.
I appreciate that too. For you, Mike, I mean, that's the same. I hear it all the time. I mean, you're just the same with you, man. You've contributed so much to the sport that will last forever, man. I don't think you can realize it's. I mean, you were really the first person that kicked it way out to the next level as far as what is acceptable to be as a professional angler. And, you know, everybody references that. And, you know, your contribution to the sport has been just massive.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. I love it just like you do. It's my passion. And just, you know, I love the sport. So I know you feel the same way.
Yeah.
Randy, thank you very much for coming on the show. Randy Blockett, everybody. Icon of the sport.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Yeah, I mean, you were.
That was a
trendy.
pleasure. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy.
You knocked the curve out of everybody's hat. You know what I mean?
I did. I knocked the curve.
Straight brim hats, dude.
That's the curve right out of those MFers.
Knocked it right out.
But it's funny. I brought it up to Randy, Pete, and I wanted to hear his opinion. He gave a great answer. You know, I have had so many people, you know, that hate what I've done, that think I've ruined the sport. And I know he's had the criticism too. And I think it's great that he, you know, he just keeps doing what he's doing. You know, he's the same person he was back then. He's very outspoken, and that's great. He's sticking true to who he is. That's how it should be. You know what I mean?
Well, I like what he's doing on YouTube because you get to hear him. Like, you know, Randy's voice has been relatively quiet, and he's opened up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing to hear, you know, his opinions and the good, the bad, the controversy, and all that kind of stuff. It's and that's what social media is allowing everybody to do. I'm glad he's embracing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You need controversy.
Yeah. Well,
he delivers, though. He delivers his objections to things in such a dignified manner, though. It doesn't.
You're right, Dave.
Yeah.
He does.
He's a great
He
speaker.
doesn't come off like he's like whining.
Oh, he's a great
complaining.
speaker.
True.
Yeah. He's very articulate.
Yeah.
He's very, you know, he thinks about the things, you know, very deeply and really does a good job with it.
Yeah.
What's up,
It
babe?
was literally crushing my ear. I had to
Every
shift
time you
it.
grab it, it makes noise.
Yeah.
It sounds like a rustling
I'm
noise.
moving the ear. It is crushing.
There's
Try
gonna be-
wearing earrings.
There's
and
going to be
these-
people listening to this on their drive, on their 13-hour
Well-
drive.
Hold on, back.
The rustling sound is me. I'm sorry, people, but the freaking thing hurts your ears after a while.
Beck, don't take no shit from him. He chews into the microphone. He screams. His voice is up. It's down.
All right, I promised you I would talk about this. I want to talk about it real
Ooh,
quick.
yeah.
Dr. Squatch is a great sponsor of the show. Of course, you know the soap. They've got candles. They've got some great products. This is a new one. This is Dr. Squatch toothpaste. Now, listen to this,
Let me
Dave.
smell that. Let me smell
Listen
that.
to this.
It feels heavy.
This is incredible. I want to tell you about this. This is coming from the heart. They have a morning and evening toothpaste.
What?
Think of how genius this is. Okay?
Explain.
In the morning, so they've got a citrus mint, which to me it's a lot like it's like having a mimosa, like an orange juice in your mouth in the morning. It gets you started, right? They're saying here ginseng, green tea, vitamin B12. Dude, did I say that right?
No.
It honestly feels like you get going in the morning. Smell that one. Smell that one. Give me that one.
Hold
Give me
on,
that
hold
other
on.
one.
You can definitely smell the zang. That's what they call it in West
Okay.
Virginia. Ginseng. They call
All
it
right.
zang.
And the night one, which I think is awesome, and at night you kind of want to feel relaxed, right? You're tired, you want to go to sleep. This is Soothing Spearmint, and we've got
chamomile
in this thing. We've got saw palmetto,
Yeah.
and something else that I
Valerian.
can't. Valerian.
Chamomile certainly
that?
activates
Anyways,
the
I
melon.
will tell
in
you, having to be the person that sleeps next to him, he has only used Crest like his entire
Right.
life.
I was a normal dude. I just buy Crest.
You got good
This-
teeth.
I got okay teeth. This thing's great, and this is also both of them are fluoride free, and they have natural whitening agents in them. So if
Whitening.
you want white teeth, Pete,
it was
this is
actually
key.
very natural, nice,
Yes.
scented.
It's a
It-
great
it-
toothpaste.
it's
Great
actually really nice.
Chamomile is a known stimulant for melanin also.
Melatonin?
No, melatonin's your skin color.
No, that's melanin.
Melanin, melatonin's, well, whatever the one, whichever mel it
Melatonin
is.
helps you sleep at night, Dave.
Melatonin
Is it?
helps you sleep.
We're having a fight here.
Melanin's your skin tone.
All right, well,
You were
helps-
right, just backwards.
It helps that
There's
too.
the
Yeah, all of
answer is in the bottom of that.
Pete's
tin cup.
talking. Pete's talking to himself.
What's Pete? I'm sorry, Pete.
Sorry, Pete. Go ahead, Pete.
I said the answer is in the bottom of that tin cup.
Damn
We need like a Max Headroom face in here when you're talking, like a hologram, so I can like. It's hard to. Sometimes Brian don't have you up. You know, and I don't know. I don't know you're talking.
Well,
Sorry, Pete.
I it's hard to be remote, you know.
Yeah, especially when there's no virus. Right?
Well,
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I want to say something.
There's no virus and no Sasquatch.
All right, go ahead, Beck. What do you got? What do you got, Beck?
Yes.
I want to say something that Mike and I had a conversation earlier today. There was a very interesting just comment about our show, and it was pretty awesome to have Randy Blockett on tonight.
Yes.
That kind of drove home this conversation that we had earlier today.
Yes, listen to this.
That was
nudity.
No, listen to this.
Bass fishing needs more nudity.
No, this is actually kind of important.
Listen to this.
Randy very much epitomizes this conversation that we had, which also is who Mike has been, which is what Ike Live is. We are not the normal in this bass fishing world. No. We're all highly opinionated people.
Yes.
We're unapologetic for our opinions.
Yep.
But no one here, Randy, Mike, Ike Live crew, a lot of the people that we associate with, there's no harm in what we say. It's just our opinions.
Yeah,
our opinions.
Yep.
And it's to open people's eyes that their opinions beyond what this bubble and bass fishing very much. We talked about that Ray Scott conversation. Like, well, if you disagree, then I'll find someone to replace you.
Yeah.
That's not fair
It's
in
been,
the way the world works.
It's been a very bad, jaded culture in professional bass fishing for a lot of years, where you're not supposed to step out of the boundaries.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to voice your opinion. You're not supposed to be different, right? And I'm glad we're bringing this up because it's okay to have your own opinion.
Yeah,
Dave,
it's an
you
opinion.
you have the weirdest opinions out of everybody,
his
and we
opinion's
love
not
you
okay,
because of that.
It's called life experience.
It's called
not an
life
opinion.
experience. Pete has opinions. Brian, we all have different opinions, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? So what we say on this show, it might not be fact. It might not be 100% correct. It's our opinions.
I'll speak for myself. I'm
Just
sorry
our
to
opinions.
you guys for about half the things I say when,
Well, I was
when
going to
I'm
say,
reminded of it.
I got two things to say in regards to Becky's comment, which I agree with, but I do apologize for Dave's comments pretty much every Monday after a show, whether it be to the guests we had on that night or
but
somebody else in fishing.
Yeah, but it is okay to have a differing viewpoint.
Oh, dude!
on
I
what the
mean,
normal
come on,
is.
man. It's just an opinion, and here's the thing, dude. Nobody should ever be married to their thoughts, right? Like, listen.
No,
we all. If you're not growing and learning and evolving, what are you, right? Like my brother. Threw this out years and years ago. He's like, if I let my kids get tattoos when they were 3 years old, they'd all have a tricycle tattooed to their face.
So true.
Yeah, they would have.
Yeah.
We would have. We would all have tricycles tattooed on our
like
face.
Mike Tyson.
We learn, we grow. So that whole thing.
Randy's perspective was really wonderful. How he said that everybody's worried about the pro anglers are worried about giving up their piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps the pro anglers from speaking, from putting their opinions out there because they're worried that they're going to lose it. And we feel so, like fortunate that we're able to go out there and fish for a living. That's ridiculous. Like you get to go out and catch bass for a living. That didn't happen a few years ago, and now it exists. And when the pressure gets put on us, and you don't want to step out. And like when I started, Mike, and I kind of influenced you that way. It's like, no, you can't do that because it's going to go bad for you because you don't want to lose this wonderful thing that we have.
Yeah.
And you stepped out and you showed, and you really were the. Well, Randy was too. Like you said, he stepped out. He stepped out and did that shoot. That was big.
That was big.
Rick did too. They stepped out, and you took their lead and ran with it.
Yeah.
And that was the way to go. That really was. And but most guys are terrified. They're terrified to step out for fear they're going to lose the one sponsor that's paying their entry fees.
Yeah.
And then what are they going to do?
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line, it's okay to be different. It's okay to have your own opinion. Like I want everybody to have their own opinion. What you hear on this show, it's not necessarily the fact.
It's
just
just
our
guys
opinion.
drinking and having fun
It's
about
just
something.
our opinion.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but you know what? Everyone should really kind of try to model themselves a bit about, slightly about how we roll with things here on Ike Live. Because if you notice, we don't all have the same opinions.
No, we don't all have the
and
same
we'll go
opinions.
at each other, but not in this like horrible, I'm not going to be
No.
friends, talk to you later kind of way.
Sometimes it takes a week.
Yeah.
It's fine. The electric fence, I turn up the knob a little bit on the electric fence sometimes, but
Hey,
I turn it back down. by the
Side
time I know
note
you're
about
coming.
Brian's brother. Like, Brian's big brother was incredibly cruel to me when I was a kid, but if Brian's brother he was very cruel to me, but if he was around like in like 1776, like he has great quotes, like like Thomas Paine, like it would have been Bill Stockwell.
Yeah, and he's got the beard.
He's
too.
got
he's
great
got
quotes,
the face.
dude.
Your brother has
Yeah.
the face, the beard. Dude, if your
Nah.
brother was back in the day, he'd have been a president or something.
Bill's cool to talk
Vice
to,
president,
man. Like,
congressman at least. Yeah.
He'd have been a carpenter.
Or a carpenter, yeah.
No?
That was our philosophical
But
moment.
again, listen. If you're watching or listening right now, we've had some calls in after the last few shows from disgruntled people that are taking stuff the wrong way. Listen to me.
Oh,
It
in the
is-
industry?
Yes, it is our opinion. It's the Ike Live show's opinion. It's just our viewpoint. And that's that. That's all it is. And it
Anything I
shouldn't-
said? Anything
No,
I said?
no. And it shouldn't be
Make
wrong.
me feel bad on the way home
No, it's
car,
not you.
as I drive by my broke down truck.
It's not you.
You need
It shouldn't
help?
be-
Oh, he got you.
It shouldn't be wrong to have your own opinion.
wait.
Everybody should have their own opinion. And here's the other thing, though.
Keep your mind open.
We're not going to apologize if you want to have a different viewpoint.
Brian.
I'm not going to apologize.
I pretty much have
If you
to.
want to have your own, look,
That's pretty much
if you
my
want to
job.
have your own viewpoint, have
Damage
your own
control.
viewpoint. We encourage that, and get your own damn podcast because this is ours.
Or call us. Let's talk it out.
Yeah, dude. So, yeah, shout out to Tin Cup. I can feel the energy has shifted.
Energy shifts.
That Tin Cup rye is.
It's warm in my belly.
I usually always drink mine on the rocks. It's strong. I like drinking it.
Yeah,
off
the rye's
rocks.
banging.
The tin cup bottle.
You know what? Pete Glusick, you are missing
You're
out.
missing it, Pete.
No.
Why am I missing out, Tin Cup?
This
Come
rye
on.
is really
I-
good because
I-
I'm not. I am very picky about my bourbon and my whiskey. Am I not?
Oh, you're very picky about it.
I like the rye.
Pete, what if Brian gives you one of his asbestos masks from the back of the truck? Asbestos.
I love this.
Will you come in then? If it blocks asbestos, it's got to block the SARS COVID-19.
No, asbestos is a particulate. It's much different.
Ooh.
So,
Go ahead. Here, hold on.
right.
Wait
So,
for it. Here it
so
comes.
SARS is 0.03 microns. You know how many microns asbestos is?
Bigger.
It is. I don't know what it is.
Sounded really good though.
No, it is 0.03 microns. And that mask you wear, Pete, that you think's protecting you, they operate around 17 microns. So there's your
Yeah,
whoopee for you.
I'm
all right?
protecting you by wearing that
Unless you're
mask.
wearing the N95,
Be nice.
Pete, you're not doing anything. That mask is
Wait.
do the research. It's at 17
You know what?
microns, dude.
It's actually breaking up the particles to be smaller to move through the mask. To
No,
contaminate
I listen
more.
to scientists talk about this. This isn't me, obviously, because I don't know. I heard this and I listened to it and I
wait,
watched
I
it.
just
No, I
saw
legitimately
Sasquatch
saw
out my
that
window.
somewhere.
Wait a minute.
Get an
I just have
N95,
a Sasquatch sighting.
Hey,
What?
Mount Laurel, Sasquatch.
so is Jay Kumar crazy, or is it just
He's
me?
mimicking,
Probably.
He's
Yeah?
mimicking the robins. I can hear it. Wait.
Well, you better
Let me
watch
play
out
it.
because they.
Wait. Let
I
me
like
play
that it was loons.
Listen. Let me play it. Wait for it.
Hey,
Damn, Pete's snapping.
oh, that's because I hit him hard with the mask. You know.
But he came back. He held his own.
Have we touched on everything that we have to discuss?
I don't know.
Because I do have to educate small
Yeah,
children in the
yeah.
morning.
We've touched on everything.
I had
What
a
are
thought
you,
a minute ago.
being like a
Wait
crazy
for-
homeschool mom now?
No, we have to e-learn 3 days a week. I have to be their
Oh,
teacher.
okay.
Yes.
Dang.
Let's
Not by choice,
let's
Dave.
do a little bit of housekeeping and then we're going to wrap the show up. Riz, we did a amazing like and share contest throughout this show for our viewers over on Facebook, and we're giving away, of course, the world famous Ike Live gift bag, loaded with Ike Live sponsors, weighs over 20 pounds. What do we got, Riz? You want to do want to pick a winner?
We sure do.
Okay.
Just give me a minute or two here to
All right.
throw it into the
All right.
into the randomizer.
We're going to give Riz a minute to.
Oh,
to
here's
pick that.
another little thing. So
Yeah.
we've got our kayak Well, I moved it away because y'all were mad at me.
Okay.
So we have our kayak tournament clearly coming up at the end
What's
of the
the
month.
age group on it? I'm sorry, I meant to ask that. How old do they have to be to compete? Can they be any age? Like, can David at 12?
He could be. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, as long as he can manage by himself in a kayak and everything. Yeah, and you sign off.
We'll be
on the
together.
waiver.
You know, we'll be together the whole time.
But for sure, yeah.
Okay.
But there's another great tournament coming in October. I'm pretty sure.
October?
Yes, friend of all of ours, Aaron
Yes.
Martins.
Oh, Aaron, yeah, the Aaron
There
Martins
was a tournament
benefit
organized
tournament
for him
coming up. Yep.
and I do believe that's in October.
I think you're right.
I found it
Yep.
on Facebook.
Around here?
Yep.
It's an online tournament.
Oh.
Yep,
But
it's virtual.
huge prizes. Like,
Yep.
doesn't somebody win like $40,000
Oh, yeah.
or something
Insane.
first place?
Insane.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's great for somebody in Florida or Texas.
Yeah. Well, they might have different divisions. They
Okay.
might. I don't know.
But that's not the
exacts of
point.
it.
The point is Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're
the
raising
point
money for
is
Aaron.
that I
Raising
think
money
all
for
the
Aaron.
entry fees go to help them.
Love that guy,
and the,
man.
and the
Yeah.
medical expenses.
Yeah, we're all still thinking about Aaron every day.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
He's a great dude.
Great guy. Brian the Carpenter had a little. Let's see here. Maybe, that's for the end. Pete, what do you got? Anything last words for BU? Want to give a little BU shout out before we go here?
Well, listen up Tuesday night. Edwin Evers. We're going to be talking
awesome.
about how to prepare for multi-day tournaments and championship tournaments.
Very cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty detailed Bash You Live. Check it out.
Awesome.
7
That's
p.m.
gonna be a good
Tuesday
one.
night.
It's the best X's and O's fishing podcast. I like what you turned it into, Pete. I like how it went
That's
from the
me,
seminar
dude.
type thing. Can I compliment Pete after insulting him, bro? I'm trying to make up.
All right, go ahead.
I like how you turned it from like an educational speech type format to just like a podcast with X's and O's. That's
It's all me. Still
This has been.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave.
This has been a great show.
Thank you, BT.
We're gonna in a second here. We're gonna pick the Facebook winner, but I want to thank Randy for coming on. That was great. Randy Blockett joining us on the show. Unbelievable.
Like, I wonder if he
that was-
realizes,
that was-
like, we talked about him when we were in our teens and 20s.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, we would talk about him sitting around having
Oh,
drinks.
yeah.
You
That's
know, like,
great.
did you see what he said? You know, like, we did that.
It's unbelievable. I want to thank everybody here on set tonight. Becky, Dave, Riz, Brian the Carpenter, and Pete Glusick. Thank you for joining us here on Ike Live. And Riz, we got a winner. Who we got?
We sure do, Mike. Congratulations to Christopher Shaw. Christopher
Shaw.
Thank you for sharing tonight's feed to not only his personal page, but several locations.
There
But
you go.
Congratulations, Christopher Shaw. I will be reaching out to you via social media to get your contact information.
Riz totally sounded like The Price is Right. Like, you know, the
did.
announcer on Price is
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
that
that
was Riz
inflection,
right
yeah.
then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Riz could sell carpet online if he wanted to, like on the radio, you know? Like, you got a great voice. Are
Carpet?
you going to sign the hat?
BU Carpet. Yeah, we'll sign that.
Hey, can I give a teaser? I want to give a
teaser.
teaser for the Ike Foundation.
Sure, tease
Speaking
it.
of
Tease
The
it.
Price is Right. So most likely we are not going to be able to hold our scholarship dinner
Oh, that's a bummer.
Wait, what?
This February?
this February because of
COVID, bro.
COVID. Most likely we will not be able to gather that
COVID,
many
bro.
people
Let's-
in a space.
Let's wait to decide that until November
November
3rd.
3rd.
Week of November.
I got a
It'll be
question.
So
short no
listen,
matter
I'm just
what.
being realistic
Yeah.
about the reality of this situation.
All right, all right.
So
One of
we've
my
been
favorite events of the year.
brainstorming, like,
Sucks
what
about.
do we do? You know, because ultimately that's how we do the scholarship. That's how we
the
fund.
Chinese auction.
It's how we
Well,
pay for
that's how-
most things
That's where
throughout
the problems
year.
came from. Fucking China.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so here's the idea we came up with, and we're really working through the details, and we're kind of excited, and you all are going to be sucked in because you're going to have to be involved. A telethon. Jerry
Telethon.
Lewis style
Yes.
telethon.
Telethon. Man in
Tin
the
cup of
phone.
Founders
Ring,
beer?
ring.
Oh, hell yeah. We'll be
Tin cup
drunk
of Founders
as hell.
beer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What, we got to call people?
No, they call us.
They call us.
We entertain them.
We have guests.
They
You
call
remember
in
the
and they
Jerry Lewis telethon
come on. You remember,
TV?
like, people call in,
They'd
ring,
have
ring.
celebrities.
We'll get
They'd
some-
have
we'll get some
comedians,
bikini
they'd have
YouTube
athletes,
fishermen.
they'd have people come through. We'll get Ed to come out, do
Yeah.
skit. We'll have a musician. We'll have some people play.
Yeah.
That's
Randy
Aaron
Blockett.
Lewis,
And
What
people
a
call
Kane
and make a
come out.
donation.
Come on.
I'm there. Tell me what you need.
We'll have The Rock do a little
there.
special shout out for us.
Pants off.
Did you see The Rock bass fishing?
Yeah, he's been bass fishing a lot lately. COVID.
That's what
Can he even
does.
like catch? I mean, he's big.
Yeah,
I mean,
cast.
trying to
Sure he
think
can.
how he could do it.
Tell that's not a bad idea. I like the Chinese
Yeah.
auction in person, but I mean that's cool if we can't do that.
It's good.
Yeah, it sucks.
We got to be realistic.
Yeah.
I don't.
Awesome. God,
It's
fish. I want to go fish.
Here's the other
right
problem. Most weddings were canceled and postponed until February. So it's very hard to get a location as well.
It's a double.
Double.
Look at the tails on that thing.
How many guys survived a bad marriage because of this, right? Like the wedding got postponed, and they found out like that piece of information that they needed to find out, like, you know, and it was enough to be like, yeah, no, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not marrying you.
Like the wife farts every night?
No, who knows what it is? It could be a skeleton.
Not Dave's wife.
No, it could be a skeleton. You know, like, who knows, dude?
Skeleton in the closet.
Skeleton in the closet.
What are you talking about over there,
Well,
Bob?
if the skeleton's in the closet and there's a 6-month delay in the wedding, then you find out what she's got, what the broad's hiding.
The broad.
Save yourself a few dollars on that
Yeah,
wedding,
no,
too.
at least $8,000 you can code in the honeymoon. Look at Pete, not even smirking.
Listen, if you made it this long, you might as well just elope.
No, but I'm just saying there's a guy who got saved by this. There was silver lining, and he's like, dude, you'll never believe what I learned because of this. Like, I'm telling you. You know, I'm sure Broad got saved too, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, Dave, how does your mind go to this?
Broad got
From
saved
scholarship
too, but
dinner
whatever.
to saved weddings.
Because of the postponement. That's what led me down that road.
Yeah.
All right.
Like-
what a great
like I
show. I
found
want to
out-
thank everybody for tuning in. Once again, want to thank our guest, Randy Blockett, for joining us. Brian, we got something cool we're going out to. And before that, I do want to tease something also. Big guest coming up in one of the Ike Live shows in the next month or so. Jim Jones, bass fishing, will be joining us live on Ike Live. I'm very excited.
You've
to
actually
announce it.
spoken to Jim Jones?
No, I just threw that out there.
Go get him, Bri.
Bri, we need Jim Jones bass fishing to come.
All right. I mean, all right.
Hey, there's a
I don't know who to
lot
think it
of
is.
there's a
Doesn't
lot
matter.
of people who think they know who Jim Jones is. That'd be fun to have Jim Jones on.
We need to have Jim
I don't
Jones
even know
on.
what this joke is. I'm sorry.
Jim Jones.
Remember we had Randy Flowers on?
Yeah.
It's basically it's an internet troll.
So there's a new guy?
Yeah, it's a new internet troll. Yeah.
'Cause I'm about to delete my Twitter that I just created. I'm
Already?
Yeah, I am. I can't take it.
Oh, you're all in.
but you can get
dude.
Squatch. You can
See
get
that?
Sasquatch info on Twitter.
You got serious clout on Twitter already.
Dude,
None other than Luke Duncan is like, yeah, I follow him.
Bro, I was
Wow.
Luke Duncan was texting me today, and he's like, "Yeah, I follow Dave on Twitter. He's really deep in on them politics. He's got some fucking thoughts, huh?"
No, man.
you know.
Keep it.
I
Don't get
go
rid of
after
that
the
shit.
guys that go after the cops. That's what I go after, and the soldiers. That's it, man.
I like it.
It's a tough battle, dude. It'll.
But he
wear
has
you
a
down.
target. Let him have his target.
Yeah, no, but I gotta tell you, like you were saying earlier about your haters. Like
Yeah.
like with you, I was like ready to hit the mattress. It's like you fucking cunts.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah.
How can you say that about this guy that you've never seen stay hours when we're all trying to leave a place, talking to every kid and listening to everybody's fish story sincerely, not even with like a washed over look at DMV on your face. Like you seriously care. No, but you seriously care. Like, and this
Yeah.
guy's saying that like you don't know him, you mother.
Dude,
That's people on the internet.
And it gets back. It gets back to this whole thing. Too many people are judging. Too many people, dude. It does.
Too many people need to be slapped upside their heads.
Remember how you felt
should
on
never-
9/11 and treat the world the way you felt
There
then.
you have it.
And never talk to
There you have
anybody
it.
on
That's a
social
good point.
media.
That's a good point.
Different than if they were like right in front of you.
Yeah.
Pretend they're right in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's all good.
Oh yeah.
But if you otherwise, dude, go fuck yourself.
What do I always say about the miserable people? Let the miserable people be miserable.
That's true.
Like, why go down that miserable trail with them? Be happy. Let them go.
This is amazing. This is like 20 minutes of just drunken.
We're so sorry. We're leaving. No, we're not.
And this will be the best part of the show. People are like, I love the commentary. All right. Want to thank everybody for tuning in. What a great show. Want to thank all our sponsors, including Mystery Tackle Box, Tin Cup Whiskey. We've got the Fisherman's Fishing Planet. All of them. And Dr. Squatch got a great new toothpaste. mybookie.ag. Please check it out. It's
Go
been a
make
great
yourself
show.
some money, people.
There you go.
Get that money.
Have a good one. Bri, sign us out to something good. What do you got?
I got our buddy Sean McKee. As a matter of fact, in 2 weeks, not this Tuesday, the following, we're going to do a co-angler show. Sean McKee's a local guy.
Yes.
He kicks ass on the co-angler side. He's very, very, very good record. But this was him driving home from the Potomac 2 days ago.
Disgruntled?
Yeah,
Dejected?
yeah, he had a tough day. Whatever his co-angler shit he does didn't work in this event. It was a tough event.
Yeah.
Plus it's the draws. You know, you get a shitty draw.
Yeah.
We're metalheads, and I don't know who the hell this is.
Yeah.
It's Converge.
Here we
gotta
go.
hear
Come
this.
on.
Okay.
All right. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
What the? Is there sound?
Yeah. Mike's hammered down.
Oh my god.
No, it's the most rad thing ever, dude.
Wow.
Here it is, guys. Take your headsets off.